Sure.
I know, and there was even a hat. I think Mitchell has the hat.
Yeah. Did you see the
And
Magnolia shirt hat they're selling, by the way?
no, what is that?
It's teaching it's Tom Cruise's like self-help number. And it literally says like 1-800-Tamer. I'm like, if anyone can wear that in public, like Jesus, like all the like because I would make me so nervous to wear something like that in public, even though I think it's hilarious. Like
Don't know. It would be amazing if the hat just said like, what is it? He says like, respect the cop.
it says tame her on it, which is pretty bad.
Yeah, the full line would probably be, a little worse.
The whole spiel. Yeah. Oof.
Okay, it seems to be live now. Okay, is it good? Okay, all good. Okay, hello and welcome to a live stream of Almost Major, where we will be ranking our Lionsgate films that we covered this miniseries. We covered 44 films, all the way from, I believe, 98 to 2005. I am one of your hosts, Kevin Tudor. I'm here with Bryden Doyle, as always.
Hello, good to be here.
And Charlie Nash.
Hello. Same.
We are cracking open a Coors Light that I have not had in like a year. The last time we had a live stream.
Wait, seriously? Good for you, huh?
When things were tough during the Lionsgate series, I'm just like, don't worry, there's a tall boy Coors Light at the end of the road. When I was going through the eyes of Tammy Faye, I knew that I could get somewhat tipsy at the end of it.
That was pretty early on.
Yeah, I know. Yeah,
That was earlier this year. My goodness, it feels like forever ago.
I know. But if you're watching on YouTube, which I don't know why you would be watching anywhere else, because that's all there is YouTube, there is a live chat. You can chat with us if you want. That would be fun. We are, like I said, we will be individually ranking every 44 movies that we have covered. I'm also going to be showing some trailers for movies we did not cover. And then we also have some stats courtesy of Bryden of the movies we have covered. So should be fun. Before we get started, do we want to talk about what should we talk about first? How the miniseries was as a whole, and also versus Artisan, or about our new miniseries?
We could talk about. Oh, Charlie, go ahead, please.
No, I interrupted you.
I was just gonna say, well, one thing that definitely stuck out to me is way more good movies than there were for our Artisan miniseries, and like I would say, what stood out to me was I felt like with this Lionsgate miniseries, we often had we had more double features where both the movies were good, whereas I feel like an Artisan, it would be really tough where like the whiplash in quality would be so bad. Like it would be like we'd be doing a movie where it's like, this, holy shit, this rocks, and then the other thing would be like, fuck, this is the worst thing that we've ever done. Like when we did like Belly and like The Punisher and everything. I don't think there was anything quite that bad.
Yeah.
Quite that much quality and disparity. Disparity in quality this time around. There were some bad movies to be sure, and we will talk about them. But
very soon,
I felt like
it will be the first thing we talk about.
Yeah, I agree with you though, Bryden. I'm looking at my list right now, and like I feel like Artisan was very kind of dichotomous. Like it was either a good movie or a bad movie. And here I have like the bad movies were bad, but like I feel like I have ratings that are all across the board, like in general. Whereas Artisan, it was much more
two extremes.
Yeah, very extreme. Yeah.
Yeah. I would say that Artisan was more fun, but Lionsgate had better movies, if that makes sense. Like there was a lot more like 3 out of 5 movies for Lionsgate, but we had a lot more like 1-star Artisan movies that were more fun to talk about.
Yeah, I mean, what was it? Like House of the Dead is definitely more fun to talk about some of the stinkers that are on our list here, but like that is like one of the worst movies I've seen in my life. So I mean, it's hard when you have something like Uwe Ball stacked up against whatever we're about to discuss. But
I just remembered actually there was one double feature that we did for our Lionsgate miniseries that was like really bad in terms of like the disparity. It was Shattered Glass and Eyes of Tammy Faye. Shattered Glass, I'm like, holy shit,
Oh,
this
yeah, that
rocks.
was
And then like
bad.
Eyes of Tammy Faye was like, this is fucking insufferable. I can't take this.
Yeah.
Yeah. But like we also had like good double features like Buffalo 66 and Jesus' Son.
Woo,
And
that was a good one.
Wow.
The Rob Zombie double feature was really fun. Well, fun.
Wow.
But those were really good, I thought. And
Mhm.
I feel like there's
Dogville
another-
and Fahrenheit 9/11 was also
That
a
was
pretty.
Yeah.
That was yeah.
Oh,
That was
Affliction and Frailty was also the other one I was thinking of. But yeah,
that's
but
that was a
Fahrenheit
good
9/11
pairing.
and Fahrenheit 9/11. To your point, like the discussion that board was like really fruitful. I felt like even though
Absolutely.
even though like the two movies were not quite on the same level. Yeah.
No. And one of those movies was the #1 movie in America at one point, which is insane.
That's crazy.
Critics are calling it the #1 movie in America, Dogville. Yeah. Imagine a world where it was flipped. Yeah.
I'm also imagining not that this would ever happen, but like a Barbenheimer where it's Dogville and Fahrenheit 9/11 and people dress up.
Fahrenheitville, Dogville 9/11. Oh man. Okay. What else to talk about just in the general of Lionsgate before we talk about New Line? Let's see. I think all three of the miniseries, at least for me, has been like one out of every three movies we've covered I've seen. So, and there are two movies in my top 10 for Lionsgate that I had never seen. All the rest of them I had seen. So there wasn't a lot of like feeling like I was discovering something. Not to say that to discover something means that it's a bad miniseries or anything like that, but I would say that I turned my opinion around on some movies for sure. Pretty sure Devil's Rejects was like a star and a half when I first watched it, and then it was now it's at like 2.5, so that's growth. But yeah, it was very, very interesting, a lot more varied, like you were saying, Charlie, than Artisan. Artisan felt like some true indie shit is the thing. It was like they were like just hitting the ground running, just being like, I don't fucking know. We got horror movies and we don't know. We somehow got money from Blair Witch. We're just trying to do our best. But Lionsgate, it felt like even from the start, even like getting something like Buffalo 66, like the first year that they're established,
Yeah.
and never really dropping the ball or anything like that, except for like 05. 05 is when it starts to get really rough, and that's when we wanted to stop anyways. So, but
Which is ironic considering they released a film we didn't cover that ultimately won Best Picture. But
we'll talk about it.
What, House of D?
That's probably when everyone at Lionsgate was
House
like,
of
"We
D.
did it, everybody!"
House of D. I've seen House of D.
I have not seen House of D.
Robin Williams just screaming about Texas Chainsaw Massacre. That's all I remember. And I think David Duchovny directed that, right?
I
What?
think you're right. And it's like a young
Really?
Aaron Yelchin,
Yes.
I think.
Yes. Yeah.
Oh, R.I.P.
Yeah.
It's funny you mentioned that though, Kevin. I immediately like knee-jerk agreed with you that I was like, yeah, I've probably seen more than I did in Artisan, but then I just counted them up. I hadn't seen 24 of these movies, which is more than I had seen, which is kind of shocking to me.
Right. And then I think New Line is pretty much the same thing, especially if you take Nightmare on Elm Street out of the picture. It's way down for me.
Oh yeah.
But-
way down.
But also it's the thing of, I'm pretty sure since we started this podcast, I've been like, that's going to be a mini series, so I might as well just hold off on that. So
That happens to me so much now. I will just say, like, whenever I watch like a movie, it's like if it's like, you know, Orion or Artist or what was the other company, TriStar, I'll be watching, I'm like, this sucks. I might have to watch this if we ever do this as a mini series, and I'm going to be super pissed. Like,
That's true. Yeah. But yeah, let's talk about our next miniseries, which is 1980s New Line. What is, I would just say, like, what is our favorite movie that we've seen of this, and what are we most excited to cover? Not like guest wise or anything like that, but one that you've been putting off seeing, and now you'll actually be able to.
Well, shit, I don't have the list in front of me. Send the
Oh,
list.
I will put it in the list, but
I have it too.
Thank you.
I would say that Bryden, I know a big blind spot for you is Evil Dead, which we will be covering.
Yes, I just saw Evil
Yeah.
Dead Rise for the first time. That was like that's the first one I've seen. And that's like, of course, I'm starting with the last one because I'm whatever. But
It stands alone. It's fine.
Pretty much all of them do.
Yeah.
Pretty much all of them do.
Yeah. I mean, even Army of Darkness, which you don't, I mean, yeah, you don't need to have seen Evil Dead 2 to see Army of Darkness to get
No.
what the premise is. It's
No,
not like you're going to be
I'm pretty
completely
sure-
lost.
Yeah, and I'm pretty sure every Evil Dead is just like, hi, I'm Ash. Here's how I got here. And then for like 10, 15 minutes just explains the previous movie. But yeah, you got the list up.
Yes, I do.
Okay.
Sorry.
No, it's fine. I just forgot to put it in there. I would say my favorite that I've seen here is probably Evil Dead. If not Evil Dead, it would be, yeah, it's definitely Evil Dead or Nightmare on Elm Street, because a
Nightmare
lot
on
of
Elm
these I
Street,
have
yeah.
not seen. Got Alone in the Dark 1982 and The Hidden in 1987. Haven't seen either of those.
Haven't seen
The
those
Hidden
either.
kicks ass. That's my favorite of the ones I've seen. Granted, I've only seen 3 of these movies, so like that. but
Oh,
like, yeah,
man.
that one kicks ass. It's a lot of fun. Just like all the tones that mashes up. Like it's really funny. It's creepy and it's like really exciting. Yeah, no, it's a lot of fun, and I'm looking forward to watching more of the director's stuff for research and also as part of the series coverage. Yeah,
Because
Yeah.
I'm gonna be covering 3 of his fucking movies.
it'll be fun. I mean, if they're as good as The Hidden, it's gonna be a ripping time. Yeah.
Yeah, I know Alone in the Dark is actually good. So, and then Nightmare on Elm Street 2, I think is good and also will be very interesting to talk about regardless.
I have
so-
not seen Nightmare on Elm Street 2 since I've been out of the closet, so that'll be a very interesting rewatch. Because of course, I think I saw it when I was like 14, and the rep on it was it's bad, and I thought it was bad, but of course, lots of suppressed emotions during that last viewing.
Mhm.
I did probably the one I'm most excited for because and Kevin, I think you were the one who told me that it had this release, but I got
Oh,
Buddies
Buddies.
on Vinegar Syndrome,
I
which
got that too. Very
I've-
excited.
I didn't even know about until we, started talking about what we were going to cover. And yeah, this seems like pretty essential gay cinema or queer cinema that I have not seen, but felt good enough to blindly buy.
Yeah.
Yeah, haven't seen The Hidden. I'm really excited to watch. I've never seen Smithereens, but I just watched Desperately Seeking Susan for the first time like this
Good shit.
past weekend. So need to catch up with more Susan
Smithereens,
Siedelman.
I was iffy on, but I've always wanted to rewatch it. So
That poster alone rules.
yeah, it does. But yeah, Larry Cohen double feature. We got Special Effects 1984, Perfect Strangers in 1984. Like I said, Smithereens, and this movie called The Ladies Club from 1986, which is very, very, very underseen. I don't even think it made it onto DVD. Polyester, John Waters' Polyester.
Yep.
Out of
Great.
the Dark from 1989, that has Divine in it. We have Evil Dead from 1981, Phenomena from 1985, Decline of Western Civilization 2 from 1988, Tougher Than Leather from 1988, which is the Run DMC Rick Rubin directed film. Stranded from 1987, Communion 1989, the aforementioned Buddies, Hairspray 1988, No Holds Barred from 1989, Critters 1 and 2, Cop Killer from 1983, and Escape from the Bronx 1983, Sincerely Charlotte from 1985, Lucky Stiff 1988, My Demon Lover 1987, and 1 through 5 Nightmare on Elm Street, plus about 10 other movies that I'm not going to list off. But yeah.
Have either of you seen the 2 John Waters films we're going to cover?
Polyester.
Yes.
I've seen Polyester. I watched that when we did as research for when we did Sesame Demented.
Mhm. Yeah. Those are good.
Is one of my favorite gags of all time in that movie. Can't wait to rewatch it. Oh, and also I have a ton of guests. I don't want to announce because I feel like that jinxes things. So everybody's a surprise until it's recorded, because I am I don't want to be like, oh, you're gonna come on when? Who knows? And then it just falls through. So, but we have lots of great people joining us, some returning, but a lot of new people. So I'm excited for that. Anything else you want to say, y'all want to say about 80s New Line before we start ranking?
It'll be one thing too that was nice about Lionsgate that will be nice for this miniseries is like it was fun trying to commit myself a little bit more to doing research. I always put air quotes in there because it is just watching movies. But like it is like the thing of like when we're doing a particular director, it's like, oh well, I should probably see more of this director's movies, like something that I've like been holding off. So it'll be fun to like, I don't know, when we're doing like all the Nightmare movies, it'll be fun to be like, oh, I have all these Rennie Harlan movies I haven't seen, or like all the various directors that worked on that series, and that'll be fun to go through that franchise. But like, catching up on other Susan Salvin movies, other John Waters films, finishing up Sam Raimi. That's a filmography that I think will be really fun. I'm looking forward to it.
I still have not seen Oz and the Great and Powerful though. I don't think I'm going to be able to do that.
That's probably okay. I saw that in theaters.
Let's see, what do I have? I have Crime Wave left, The Gift.
The Gift is kind of fun.
I think that's it.
Kate Blanchett's very good.
You ever see For Love of the Game?
Yeah, I'm good. I feel like there's another. Well, no, I recently watched Dark Man, and then I watched.
How's that one? I haven't seen it since high school.
Oh, it's so much fun.
Yeah, it's fun.
Did you enter the Multiverse of Madness?
Didn't do that. Can't say I did that. God damn it! I'm just gonna have to pull up. It's always fun to just.
Directed that.
Literally happened last year.
I know I worked
like,
it. I worked during very sold shows of it, and I completely forgot it existed and that he made it.
Yeah, I just have Crime Wave and The Gift. Don't care to watch Doctor Strange or also The Great Powerful or Love or For the Game of Love. Might rewatch the Spider-Man trilogy since I haven't seen it. I haven't seen Spider-Man 3 actually. So
wait, you haven't seen a period?
The third one. I've seen the first two.
Oh, I saw it opening night.
Maybe I'll watch those.
I will take Spider-Man 3 over a majority of these superhero movies we get now. It's an actual movie. And there goes our viewer count.
I mean, it is. I can safely say that without even seeing it. I guarantee that's true.
I remember that being a big summer where it was the third. It was like that May was like Spider-Man 3, Shrek 3, Pirates of the Caribbean 3, and all were considered major disappointments. And it was like one after the other after the other. And I remember like all of us feeling kind of like, I kind of like Pirates 3, I know, but that movie is just too gonzo and bonkers for me to completely deny. But I do remember the whole thing being like, oh no, this summer's going to be bleak. And I think it was.
And you were betting all of your hopes on Curtis Hansen's Lucky You. You were all in on that.
Oh my God. I never even saw that.
Watched it like 2 years ago.
Is that the one with Drew Barrymore?
And Eric Bana? Yeah.
Okay. Yep. I remember seeing ads for that thing.
Okay.
I think it opened the same weekend as Spider-Man 3, which is like an insane decision. Like, why would the studios do that?
Yeah.
That's like a terrible idea.
Especially after Spider-Man 2 was so beloved and such a hit. I remember Spider-Man 3 stung the most for most people, which I haven't seen it since it was in theaters, but I'd be curious to watch it.
Those 3 sequels you listed are all things to like the first movie. I was just like, oh, hell yeah. And then by the time it was the third time, I was like,
yep.
I don't even care to see if this is good. Like Shrek the Third, did not care. I think I've half watched that when it came out. I don't know. Pirates 3, didn't even care to watch the second one. And then Spider-Man 3, I was just like, I don't know, it took forever and everybody says it sucked. I'm too busy playing Halo to care.
You can really feel the studio pulling Raimi in various directions he does not want to be yanked in. Like you could tell that there were too many hands in the cookie jar in that one, which doesn't even make sense because after Spider-Man 2 was so successful, why would you even bother? But
well, then after that, all of that happened, fucking they were just like, gotta try to get him back for the fourth one. He was like, no.
No. Yeah.
Okay. Ranking? You want to start on the ranking?
Sure.
All right. Remember last time I did like a fucking timetable and that was just way too much work. So let's just try to keep what we did, and then every like 10 movies, let's just reiterate what our past 10 have been. So
You don't.
who
You're
wants
you're not keeping score this time, Kevin. Someone has to win,
um
and we
let's
need
see.
that to be voted on.
whoever wins is you only get points if everybody has the same last movie at 44. Who wants to go first for 44?
Uh-oh.
I will go first. 44 is Chelsea Walls.
Oh,
Yeah.
Shoot it into the goddamn sun.
Tear those walls down.
Exactly. Ethan Hawke's directorial debut, and yeah, I have nothing else to say. We also have to keep it short until we get to like top 15. So
I'm gonna speed around all this stuff like until we get to 10, if that's okay. Like just for me.
Sure.
Yeah.
oh yeah. Charlie, you're number 44.
State property.
All right.
I mean,
I watched
yeah,
it
that's
so
fair too.
recently, and I don't remember anything about it. It really depressed me. That's all I'll say. You can listen to our episode. It was a bad time. Doesn't make me feel good that that's my bottom one either because it's so low budget. But
Mhm.
you know, yeah.
Bryden, you're 44.
Chelsea Walls.
All right.
All right.
My 43 is State Property.
Oh boy,
And Charlie, you're number 43.
Chelsea Walls. I think we have our loser. Oh dear, we do love you, Ethan Hawke, or I do. I love Ethan
Not as a-
Hawke.
Not as a direction, maybe. I don't know. This
It's
doesn't
the
he
only one of his films he's directed I've seen. I can't
That's
think
for
anything
me.
else.
Yeah, I should have done research and watched like Blaze or The Hottest Day, which I've heard like good things about those ones actually. Whereas Chelsea Walls
This-
was the one where people I even going into I heard like that one was a stinker.
doesn't he have a doesn't he have a new movie that like has his daughter in it? Or
yeah, it played a tip. I don't
Yeah.
remember what it's called. Is it where she's playing like Flannery O'Connor or something like that? Yeah.
Maya Hawke, like her a lot. Great in Asteroid City.
Need to see that still. I've been too
Uh,
busy watching Lionsgate movies to care about new stuff.
Listen. Bryden, you're 43.
My number 43 is The Eyes of Tammy Faye.
Oh boy.
Damn.
A movie
Wow.
that like 90 seconds in, I was just like, oh no. I think this is gonna be like the longest 77 minutes ever. Actually, is this 77 minutes? It's like
79. I just checked.
79.
Yeah.
Even longer. Yeah.
Yeah. My 42 is A Slipping Down Life.
Oh boy.
Charlie, you're number 42.
Oh boy. I'm realizing. Oh well. You know what? I won't say anything. My 42 is All Over the Guy because I am a self-hating gay man. I really. That movie drove me nuts. I'm sorry.
Yeah, it's not good. I mean,
It's not good at all.
I have it like wait, it might be too far ahead actually. It's in the mid 30s. I don't like that.
That's a rookie
Oh,
number.
look,
You
now
need to
that
bump
our-
that number down.
Look, now that
Yeah.
our gay look, I had it higher, but now that the gay co-host has it so low, I guess it's not homophobic.
I actually have it at number 1. Yeah.
I need
All
to
over-
go.
all over the guy.
Critics are all over the all right. Bryden, you're number 42.
My number 42, State Property. That is slightly higher, I think, because it occasionally did make me laugh. I still, you said, Charlie, you don't remember anything. I still think every now and then about put your 3D glasses on because I'm coming at you. I still think about that because I find that one
Okay,
funny.
that one. That
I
bit
still
was
think
fine.
about just when I thought things couldn't get worse, they did about all the time.
I forgot about that. Oh.
The DVD of it is just staring me right in the eyes right now, and I need to get this evil out of my room. But anyways, my number 41 is Cabin Fever. Charlie,
High Tension.
I have
Which
it
I just
way
realized
too
that
high.
I realized that I put High Tension, one of the most homophobic, like queerphobic, misogynistic movies we've covered, above the actual gay movie, and I like to apologize to everyone everywhere.
You like it when gays are attacked and not when they're trying to find love. That's what you like.
No,
That's what you
exactly.
like.
I can't find love. Why should anybody else? They should
Yeah.
all die.
Yeah. I should be able to drive 2 cars at once. Charlie, what's your number 41?
I just said it is High Tension.
Oh, that's right.
Yeah, also, why can't I have car chases with myself all the time? That's more relatable to me.
You get a movie of it? What?
In my mind.
just lost a chase to myself. All right, Bryden, number 41.
My number 41 is All Over the Guy, a movie I inexplicably gave 2 stars. I think because I was like, wow, they were really like holding the camera in these scenes and everything, like not like cutting it or anything. Like, look at that coverage.
Wow, there was clearly a tripod
They're
set up to
doing
hold
stuff.
the camera
Wow.
up. Yeah.
I mean, it
Everybody
was just like
showed up.
I'm like, but I was like, there's like, I mean, it was one of those things where it's like, if the material was like even like slightly good, this would be like, like the camera, it would feel like the camera work as the surface is something good, but like it was just like, just the fucking hackiest shit possible. But it was fun to talk about on the pod, I think. Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Well, yeah, especially because we had Gavin and Louie on, who are delightful and wonderful, and we love them.
What was I gonna say? I do have a lot that I have rated lower, higher, but it's the thing of like, if I had both of these movies and somebody was just like, we have to rewatch one of them, I'd be like, that one is technically better, but I'll sit through that. So I say all that to say I won't be saying High Tension for a while, and I'm sorry. Number 40 is Confidence for me. Charlie?
I have Cabin Fever at number 40.
Hell yeah.
Hey, same here, Charlie.
Oh,
Cabin Fever for me.
Finally we match.
High
Cool
five.
opening title sequence. That's really my favorite thing about the movie. Yeah.
High
And I
five.
liked this movie in high school, but the whole douchey Eli Roth vibe of it.
So did
just
everybody
soured.
else.
Yeah. Just
Um,
can't stand that man's vibes.
both
good.
of y'all high five and go shoot some squirrels because they're gay. Number 39 for me is The Eyes of Tammy Faye.
Oh my god. Am I the one who has this the highest? I hated that movie too.
More like the eyes of I don't have a joke. Charlie,
Look
number
into these
39.
eyes.
The Dogma.
Moving right along.
Yeah,
Brighton,
yeah. Kevin, you might want to just
39.
My number 39 is Confidence.
What? How do I have confidence higher than both? God damn it, I hate it.
Your dogma dislike and your confidence hierarchy, it cancels it out. So it's
Dogma is one of the longest movies I've ever rewatched. That movie is interminable.
I wish
I have some stats to tell you about what our longest movie was, actually. I mean,
Oh yeah,
obviously
and that
we
one's
looked it up,
good.
but-
That one's
Yes.
very good. You'll
Yeah.
be seeing that one high up there for me.
Open Water is the longest movie we've covered. Really? Okay. Let's see. Charlie, you said Dogma. Brighton, what do you got for 39?
Confidence.
Okay. My 38 is Monsters Ball, a movie that my friend just recently just mentioned off the top of his head, and then I ranted at him for an hour about that movie. So maybe it should be even lower. Charlie, you're 38.
My 38 is Confidence.
Are we all confidence out? Do we got it? Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Brighton, you're 38.
Open Water.
Mm,
God, why is it so high on my list? Okay. My 37 is The Weight of Water. Honk shoe. Charlie, you're 37.
My 37 is Eyes of Tammy Faye.
All right, we did it, folks. Why do you love this documentary so much? That's what I want to ask.
Wait. Can I just keeping track? How many have we crossed off entirely? State Property, Chelsea Walls, Eyes of Tammy Faye, and Confidence,
I think.
and Cabin
so.
Fever.
Cabin
So we've
Fever.
already crossed off 5.
Yes.
That's kind of impressive.
Yeah.
That's kind of impressive considering we are still so very much at the beginning of this thing.
Listen, you can put 3 white men together and we have varied opinions. It's very easy. Let's see. Brighton, 37.
The Weight of Water. It would probably be higher if the movie was just the Sarah Polly flashback
Oh, yeah,
section,
that
because
would
that's
actually
like
be
a good
good.
movie in itself. But the present day stuff sucks so bad. Like it just sucks the air out of the movie every time. That and it doesn't really seem to have any germane place in the movie. That it's just like a fucking snooze. Yeah.
I have it a little bit higher because I wasn't really bored by the Sarah Polly stuff, but I won't disagree with you that the present day stuff, I don't know what I have no idea what it's doing there.
Yeah,
They're all
I'm
both.
with you on the Polly stuff being good. It's the present day stuff with like Sean Penn and his bullshit poetry that is drags the movie
You're
down.
that full of hatred. Your blood was just boiling.
I mean, yeah, I said in the pod where I was just like, oh, Sarah Polly, this is good. Hey, go back. Why is it taking 30 minutes to go back? What is this? And then it would go back and be like, I don't really care that much anymore. And then it would go back and I'd be like, can Sarah Polly kill somebody already? My 36 is Mr. Jealousy. Charlie.
Wow. I did not expect it that low.
High
My-
tension is almost 10 spaces above it. Please
Oh,
continue.
oh boy, Wonderland.
Yeah.
Did not care for Wonderland.
No. And Brighton, 36.
Dogma. I like the cast, and I like this. And it's
we've
one of those movies
broken
where
Kevin's heart.
I like the Damon
Kevin's
Affleck
heart.
stuff, but then I think the rest of it is just like doesn't. I don't know that it has very much to say, and I honestly just also it's purely subjective. I just didn't find a lot of it very funny, and it's also very long, as Charlie said.
Dogma, Dogville, which one is longer? We will find out afterwards. My 35 is all over the guy. Charlie.
Okay, that's 6 we've crossed off. I'm definitely gonna be I know I'm gonna be the lowest for this one. Oh,
Oh,
Mm.
yeah.
more like PU.
Oh, man. More like, oh, brother. Yeah.
Oh, brother.
Brighton, 35.
My 35 is High Tension. Everything you said, Charlie, correct about the movie. I would say the first like 30 minutes, it's like, oh, there's like some craft on in here and building the suspense, and like a couple of the kills are memorably gory, but then like it just like it's so laughably stupid as well as like offensive in what it's trying to say.
dumb.
Like the logistics of it don't even really like. I'm like, I don't even know how this makes sense. And also, it's like it is offensive, like the motivation of the character too.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
It's when you say just how dumb it is, it reminded me that I finally rewatched Identity. I wouldn't say that movie's dumb. It's just supremely silly. Like it is so silly.
It's
like-
aware of how silly it is.
I know, but once it's just like, what if this little kid killed everybody? I'm just like, what are we doing?
Well, like it's got everybody in on the joke. High Tension's so dour and grim and
I would
depressing.
say that both twists are just like, wait, what's the point then? Because Identity, you're just like, wait, if none of these people existed, who died? No, wait, nobody died. What?
No,
just jump-
yeah.
Technically, a few people died.
Who died?
I mean,
Yeah,
mostly
he
off
doesn't-
camera, and then someone else,
Oh.
someone does die at the end.
Oh yeah, he does kill Doc Ock. I mean, okay, that has nothing to do with the whole story at all. I'm so glad I own it
Wonder
on
what the-
Blu-ray.
What? Oh, me too. In that Vacancy double.
Vacancy kicks so much ass.
I need to rewatch that. Yeah.
Oh man, that is just all killer 80-minute thriller. Who's the bad guy in it? He rules.
Frank Whaley,
Yes.
the narrator from Two Family House, and one of the
Oh, right.
the beat poets from Chelsea Walls.
Wow. Okay.
Oh my God.
But yeah, Frank Whaley and Vacancy. Oh man. I'm gonna rewatch Vacancy tonight. My 30. You did your 35, right, Bryden?
High Tension, yes.
Okay. My 34 is Wonderland. Charlie.
Fahrenheit 9/11 is my number 34.
All right. And Bryden, 34.
Monsters Ball.
All right. And my 33 is Lost and Delirious. Probably should be lower because anytime I think about that movie, I get a headache. Charlie, number 33.
I'm just looking at. No, I guess it's not that much higher. My 33 is Monsters Ball, a movie I liked in high school, and oh boy, it does
It's
not
crossed
age
off.
well. Yikes!
We did it.
Yeah.
Crossed off Monsters Ball.
I luckily didn't, and again, all this is subjective, but I was happy that there
No,
weren't
it's not.
as many experiences on this miniseries where like it was rewatching stuff and then like being having like drastic lowerings of ratings. It'd be stuff like, oh, I thought this was great in high school. I now think it's merely good. There wasn't a lot of like terrible things, but it's like I straight up dislike this movie that I used to like.
I
which
think
was
Monsters
kind
Cabin
Ball.
Fever?
I hadn't seen that before.
I know. Oh, okay.
Oh, yeah.
I didn't know if you
Cabin
meant in
Fever-
general or just you because yeah.
No, I
Cabin
was talking about
Fever I
rewatches
loved.
specifically.
Yeah,
yeah.
I think Monsters Ball probably is the hardest that any of them that I'd had seen in high school had fallen, because like it really was. I mean, we were talking about movies in a different way, but like that was considered a capital G great movie, and I remember watching it in high school thinking it was so powerful, and then it's just like, oh no, oh
Oh
dear.
Lord. What
Oh,
have
the
you done?
screenplay has trapped everyone into horrible contrivances, and oh, the racial politics are not very progressive, as it turns out. So yeah.
Listen, you ever just have a fight with your girlfriend and then name a gas station after her? I mean, we've all been there. But Bryden, 33.
My 33 is Gods and Monsters. This is now, to be clear, this is like I'm heading into like we've tipped over now for me into 2.5 star to 3-star territory where I'm like, this is like fine. I'm curious about where you guys are at in your star rating sort of part of the rankings now. Are you in
Still
like
2-star.
What about you, Charlie?
I'm in my 2.5s now.
Okay.
O was the last one I gave 2.5 or 2 stars to. Although now that I'm thinking about it, Fahrenheit 9/11 probably deserves 2 stars as well. So I don't know.
My last 2-star is at number 32 is Open Water.
Wow, I can't believe I had this higher than both of you. Not that it's coming up soon, but like I feel like I was the most obnoxious about it on the episode. So
You were fine. Yeah.
That was no, I mean it's fucking dumb. But that was one that like when it came out, I was like, I don't like it, but everybody seems to like it. Maybe I'm missing out. So I've always wanted to rewatch it. And I was like, no, this movie's actually like not good. So
yeah, it freaked
fucking,
me out when it came out.
11-year-old me knew what they were talking about, I guess. Charlie, 32.
My 32, continuing the 2.5 stars, is Rules of Attraction, which I barely remember, and I was like, oh, certain scenes are objectively impressive, I guess, but yeah, there's a much better Bret Easton Ellis adaptation that we're gonna get to. I'll just say that.
Urbania, is that what we're talking about? Bryden, you're 32.
Red Violin. I feel like the Samuel L. Jackson stuff is like where
Yeah, that's good.
everything before that
That's
is like it's like handsomely directed, but like doesn't have like a whole lot of momentum for me. Whereas like the Samuel L. Jackson thing, I feel like that's where it's like really cooking in terms of like, you know, urgency and also like performance. Like I feel like his sort of undercurrent of rage that he brings to like that performance is like really really captivating. You know, yeah. It's okay though. It might just not be my kind of movie.
I feel like every story in that movie is like an airplane on a runway that's about to take off but never does, and then just like ends up in a cornfield somewhere. I don't know.
Perfect way to describe it. Except the Samuel L. Jackson thing, that I feel like has like a
Yeah.
clear beginning, middle, and end. Whereas like other ones, it seems like it's just about to like the Chinese one where it's the lady like she's like hiding like the violin and the records and everything, and then like she runs away and everything, and you're thinking, oh, all right, so we're going to follow her, and we're moving on now.
Yeah.
Well, to piggyback off of that, my 31 is the Red Violin. Charlie, you're 31.
My 31 is Open Water.
There we go. That open, it has been open, it has been weighed, and now it's been crossed off of all 3 of our lists. 31, Bryden.
Shadow of the Vampire, a movie I feel like should be better than it is, given the concept, but at least it's better than Suspect Zero.
Anything is better than I would rather watch Chelsea Walls again than Suspect Zero.
Wow. I wouldn't. I mean, I haven't seen Suspect Zero. I haven't seen Suspect Zero, but I'm like, yeah, I don't want to watch Chelsea Walls again.
Wait, how long is Chelsea Walls? Okay,
It's
Chelsea
over
Walls
2
is
hours.
Under
almost
90
2
minutes, but it
hours.
feels long. Like
Yeah, Chelsea Walls is an hour and 50 minutes long. I would probably rather half watch Suspect Zero while I'm falling asleep than watch Chelsea Walls. Okay, my bad. I'm sorry.
oh, I thought Chelsea Walls was short. Isn't it
Nope.
109 minutes? What the
No,
fuck?
it's long.
Goodness.
Yeah.
Okay. I might be mixing it up with Eyes of Tammy Faye, which like was short but felt like 1,000 years. Yeah,
Which is
okay, my
funny
bad.
because the Eyes of Tammy Faye needed to be that long because it just felt like it was rushed. But
we needed more sock puppet interviews or
No, we didn't.
interludes. Yeah.
no, we didn't.
Oh boy.
You said you're 31, right?
Shadow of the Vampire.
Okay.
It's okay. Defoe's great.
Well, yeah. My number 30 is Urbania. Charlie.
My number 30 is Lost and Delirious. Piper Parabo's performance deserved a better movie.
I think it's right where it needs to be.
I love that performance. I think it's
Yeah.
very fun.
I like that performance. a lot.
Liar, 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 liar.
Teenagers are insufferable.
Yeah, and I'm a grown man. I don't need to deal with that. I already had to live through that shit.
I think I shared this with you in like a group chat, but the Canadian critic Angelo Moretta, he had a tweet about Lost in Delirium, or he was reading the book that was based on the Wives of Bath or whatever. I said like this book needs more Piper Perabo, or like it's lacking in Perabo. I'm like, good thing I didn't read that book.
Isn't there a scene in Lost and Delirious where like the teacher just has a blank chalkboard and then just writes love on it to the point that it's so big that it takes up the entire chalkboard? That's what I most remember from that movie.
It's a good movie. It's that type of scene is good when you're like not really watching it. Be like, what's going on in this? Oh, they're teaching about love. Good. I didn't know that. Bryden, you're 30.
A Slipping Down Life, which I don't think entirely holds together as like as an entire effort, but like there's enough like good like little moments that aren't tangential to the plot that like really worked for me, I think, when I was watching it. And Lily Taylor is like a great like sort of grounding verse for the whole thing, even as the movie heads into like some wacky territory. That's not the right word. Outlandish territory.
Speaking of performances that deserve better movies, that is one of them.
Yeah.
What's that Twitter prompt? It's like, what's a movie that's evil? Like literally evil. Like that movie's just deranged. like 5 minutes in, you're just like, wait a minute. What's going on?
Yeah, that is definitely that. Chelsea Walls and Wonderland were probably my biggest. Wait, what is this? Kind of examples of
Wonderland. It was just a lot of things happening that I was like, can you keep it down? Like that was my reaction.
Stop changing the station.
Yeah, what exactly are we doing here? Exactly, like.
The Carey Mulligan, she said, a clip of what exactly are we looking at here?
Oh my gosh.
Remember She Said?
No, I never saw it. That's the only thing I remember was everyone using that on Twitter.
Perfectly okay.
And every time people use that clip, it was always funny.
It was also really funny when they slow it down. It's like me trying to look at my TV when I was told, what is doing?
Yeah, that's a perfectly okay movie. I forget about it. The book is 10 out of 10, but yeah, you watch that and you're just like, why is this a movie? Just read, for fuck's sakes, people. We got your 30, Bryden?
Slipping Down Life, yes.
Okay, that's right. My 29 is High Tension. Charlie, what is your number 29? Do not have any reaction to that whatsoever.
It's a Slipping Down Life, which are now entering my 3 stars, but that is definitely a 2.5 star, especially after we recorded our episode with Megan Kierans, where she was also like, I what exactly is this? Like, I don't understand. Like, just I think it was to, like Bryden said, I think the Lily Taylor performance just anchored everything else for me. But yeah, everything about that movie is schizophrenic in a bad way. So yeah.
How long is that movie? I feel like it's like
100 minutes.
It is, I got the time right here, 109 minutes. It's the same runtime as Chelsea Walls.
I don't like these 109 minutes. Either be 2 hours or quit fucking around. All right.
Oh, you
Either
say
be 30
that.
minutes or 2 hours.
Kevin,
okay?
Don't jinx us when it comes to our what other movies we're going to cover. We're going to be praying that certain movies are 11 minutes shorter.
I'm pretty sure like every movie we're doing for New Line is like 74 minutes long. Okay, it's gonna be great.
The thing I do when I watch a movie now is I'm thinking like, how many of those minutes are credits? You know, like,
I do the
I
same
think about
thing.
that all the time.
Yeah, especially when it's bad. I'm like, there's 30 minutes. Well, actually, there's about 26 minutes, maybe even 24 if they're really long.
Now that holds only for movies like past a certain point. If you watch a movie from like the old Hollywood days, it's like this movie, it's 90 minutes on the dot. It ends like 10 seconds after the story is done.
Well, it's also because the opening credits were in the beginning of those movies, so
go.
it's like you had to sit through them.
Bryden, you're 29.
My number 29 wasn't on the episode for this. I really can't justify it other than like I get some sort of entertainment out of it. Wonderland. Good Val Kilmer performance.
You weren't on the episode. Let us know.
Yeah, and you know, I think I am just like I'm a sucker for these kind of like true crime movies that are like, even though it's like a thing that kind of bugs the shit out of me, I'm like drawn in by the flashy aesthetics and like the multiple needle drops and like the many familiar faces of the cast. I mean, I'm like the guy who saw White Boy Rick the day before it came out, and my god, there's stuff because it had Donna Summer in the trailer. It's like, I mean, I probably should not have been surprised that was like, you know, like a 3 out of 5 movie or anything, but it's like, I'm like, well, let's see where this goes or anything. There's like, seems like there's and I don't know.
The reason I wouldn't watch that, I was just like, you don't get to put that song in your trailer. You just don't.
I didn't
They
even
don't use
cover
it in the movie, to be clear, but
Oh,
which is
well,
like, of course, the pitfall of like, having a trailer cut to a really good song. It's like, well, they don't play the whole. They're probably not going to have that song, or they're not going to have it for the whole movie. But yeah,
I didn't even see that for my Jennifer Jason Leigh episode of the mixed reviews.
Oh yeah, she is in that.
You're fine. Yeah.
That would be funny if just at the end of White Boy Rick they just played like all 9 minutes of that song just like at the end of Summer of Sam. I Feel Love, one of my favorite songs ever. 28. My number 28 is The Cooler. Charlie.
My 28 is The Red Violin, which I think I made my thoughts pretty clear earlier. So yeah, not terrible. Just now we're getting into these are my 3-star, like, oh, good try, but like type of thing.
Oh, neat. Yeah.
Yeah. I will obtain very little of this in just a few days. Yeah.
How did the violin get red? I don't remember.
Blood? Something about blood?
Yeah, he like paints it with like his wife's blood or something after she's died in childbirth or something. I have some memory of this.
Can I hold on? Let me just put in Red Violin from 31 to 3.
Also, that movie was very long. That movie's like
Yes.
130 something minutes, right?
Yeah. What did we pair that with?
Amoris Perros.
Oh, okay.
Another
Yeah,
that was a
two
long week.
long-ass movies.
That was a
yeah.
long week.
And then I did Inarritu research, and good lord.
Thank you for your service.
Yeah, I tried to warn you.
I needed to step on the rake myself. Let's see. Two. You did it. Bryden, did we get your 28?
No, Fahrenheit 9/11, which I feel like picks up
Okay.
steam in the second half, but you're right.
Yes.
That the first hour is rough. Yeah.
My number 27 is Gods and Monsters. Charlie.
My 27 is Weight of Water. It's
All right.
too weird for me to be completely bored by, and I think Sarah Polley's performance is very good, and I like Catherine Bigelow, so it's not very good. It's just it's there.
You big K-19 fan?
One of the few I haven't seen.
I was sitting in front of the TV while it played. That's all I can say. That's because those two were the only ones when
It's
we
like
were about to
the-
cover it that I hadn't seen. So
It's like the arrows of the images just hit your eyes and they just bounce off. Yeah.
you're like, how was it? There was something about a boat. I don't know.
A submarine, you mean?
Same fucking thing. It's a boat. It's just an underwater boat. You can't hang out outside. You'll die. Bryden, you're number 27.
My number 27 is But I'm a Cheerleader, which I thought was fine. I think like the sense the sense of humor where like it did feel kind of like a little too like over emphatic and everything in a way where like it felt like there were like kind of like pauses almost and like between like waiting for like the sort of like the punchlines and everything. And I don't know, but it is like it's movie. Its heart is in the right place. I liked all the actors, and there are like a couple of bits that are, and I liked also the colorful production design. That was like it was really striking looking. I think it just like it's again all this comedy is subjective and everything. I just wasn't laughing that much, but like I did like. It's a perfectly enjoyable movie, and it's nice that it exists. Yeah.
Okay. After I say this, I'm going to take a quick bathroom break, but I'll be right back. My 26 is Last Night. Charlie.
Oh yeah, I take the bathroom break after one that I love. I see what it is. My 30. Wait, what number are we on?
We are on
count.
26 right now.
26. I was like 36. No way. My 26 is Mr. Jealousy, which is probably my least favorite Noah Baumbach film. And again, not bad, just didn't love it. And I love Eric Stoltz and Annabella Sciorra, so I was rooting for this one. But it's it's there. It's a stepping stone of what I feel will be, his path to greater films.
Yeah, no, that one, I haven't changed my rating. I still like it. It has dropped a little bit in estimation. Like I have like I have like a private list of like my yearly rankings of like movies I just sort of watched throughout the year, and like that one I think I put it like a few notches below like where I had it previously, but I still enjoy it a lot. Again, that is like a thing where like I totally see why people have problems with it or find it tiresome, but like that is one where like I was laughing very consistently throughout, and I like you, I like all these performers,
Yeah.
and I just like I'm
Yeah.
I'm a Baumbach guy at heart, so yeah, that's
Oh yeah,
uh
he's great. Yeah.
yeah. My number 26 is Lost and Delirious. Now, I've only seen that movie the one time. That is a movie where like it was sort of buck nuts watching it. Like I didn't really know much about like where it was gonna go while watching it. So like, what's all this stuff with like the bird catching and like the sword fights and all this other stuff, and like Piper
Yeah.
Parabo's like just sort of like off the chain performance. So like that stuff was like keeping me watching like throughout just to sort of see where it goes. And it is of course one of those movies where you get to the end and you're like, well, that's not satisfying at all. What the fuck?
Yeah.
So
The
I
ending really curdles everything for that movie. Yeah.
that's totally fair. It was like I think I do like it's maybe the overgenerous thing of me giving points where I'm like, well, I was very curious to see where it goes. I wasn't bored, but like and there are parts of that movie I like the sort of hermetic boarding school and atmosphere. I find that just like interesting to see because like it is an alien environment to me, and I like Parabo and Pare and Barton a lot, even though Barton is kind of given a shit hand.
I was
as the
about to
narrator.
say, what poor Misha Barton had nothing to do. Why is she the one telling that story? I know we
know.
talked about that on the episode, but I'm still like, just thinking about that, it makes me angry. Where I'm just like, Misha Barton's a good actress. Why?
Yeah,
She's just friends with the gardener for some reason, so she can just be present. And yeah.
Yeah, and Graham Greene as the gardener doesn't really get much to do either.
Oh right, it's Graham Greene. I completely forgot about Graham Greene.
Yeah. But yeah, it's one of those movies where like I see why you have I haven't ranked higher than you, but I see why you have it ranked so low, because I imagine if I rewatched it, I'd be like, okay, maybe this isn't so good. But
yeah,
that's not to disown my opinion. I stick by it, but I'm just saying I could see how like on rewatch that movie could possibly decrease in quality.
I
my
think-
estimation.
Well, I think the reason that you have it, so the reasons that I feel like we're both in that period, and I think Kevin would be too, of like we're all in that area right now of like, oh, interesting shot, just missed target. And I feel like
Mhm.
I mean, yeah, I put like Weight of Water above Lost and Delirious, but it's like I don't know, how do you even compare those two movies? They're both messy and in very different ways. So, and one I love the direction and some of the performances, and the other I just like a performance. So it's like we all have our own subjective metric, I guess. I don't know.
What did I miss, Charlie? What was your 26?
My 26 was Mr. Jealousy.
Okay, Bryden.
Lost and Delirious.
Okay. You've all got your heads up your assholes because love is. My number 25 is The Cat's Meow. Charlie.
This one I actually feel bad for having so low because I think it's a nice movie, but Two Family House, I will admit, while I was watching it, it was one of those I had a lot of shit going on and was not able to focus it on as I was not able to focus on it as much as I would have liked to. I should have set more time to prioritize it. It's a very nice movie, just it's fine. It's there.
Yeah. 25, Bryden.
Two Family House, baby.
Oh boy. Oh, I don't feel
Like-
bad anymore.
No. It's also, I mean, it is a nice movie, but it also has me like had me thinking throughout like this is like a bit of a dodgy perspective given the material you're dealing with here. And also it was like reading, I mean, I joked in like our group chat, like there were a lot of points where I was reading interviews with the director and I was like, you sure about that? You sure that that's why? Yeah.
Okay. My number 24 is Shadow of the Vampire. Charlie, you're 24.
Civil Brand. A movie I admire more than I enjoy.
Charlie, we're in sync here.
Oh my
That's my
god.
24 as well.
Hell yeah.
Yeah. No, I do kind of like that movie though.
Yeah, there are
I'm-
elements of it I liked, just kind of lost steam for me at the end. I interrupted you. It's your turn.
No. It's all good. And it is like one of those things where like it was a movie I'd never heard of before we did the show.
Never.
And like sometimes when we do these miniseries, it's like you've never heard of it for a reason. And here you're like, oh, well, like this isn't like entirely without merit. Like there's some interesting stuff here. And like it'd be cool to see someone try to take this material on and maybe like refine it a little bit more. And like also have the creative freedom to deal with it a little bit more.
Yes.
As we discussed. Yeah.
Where are we at? 24. Okay. My number 23 is Charlie.
Oh,
My 23 is House of a Thousand Corpses. Um, very rough first film by Rob Zombie. We'll be talking about another one I liked much
I have no idea what the other one is going to be. Bryden, you're number 23.
Saw.
more.
All
Oh,
right.
which you had never seen up until our
I-
episode.
I'd never seen it, and I enjoyed it more than I thought I would. Even though it is like very formulaic and everything, like it does seem like you're watching like like a network procedural that just happens to be very violent and have a lot of profanity. But like I did find it amusing, and I think my enjoyment of it just lingered with me because I was watching I taking a bit of a break from it, but I was watching the first few episodes of Elias, and I'm like, hey, there's Jigsaw. It's the guy giving out the lie detector test to Jennifer Garner, and I'm just like,
Did any of you see? I tried to share it with you, but someone synced up the twist ending to the NFL like football theme, and it was like da 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 like while he gets up, it's like perfectly in sync. And I tried to send it to you. It was on a private account though, but I was like laughing so hard. I think I had to rewatch it again because I was like, it's amazing how well this works.
that is really
Just
funny.
That's
incredible.
funny. My number 22 is Civil Brand. Charlie.
My 22 is
My 22 is Saw. Bryden, you're number
2 plus
22.
2 is 4.
My number 22 is The Rules of Attraction.
I'm
Lot of
gonna
stuff.
be the one. I'm gonna be the one with the highest for Rules of Attraction. God damn it!
I give it 3 out of 5. I think there's like a lot of good performances in it, and like I think it like its worldview is clearly established, but there's a lot of shit in that movie that sets my teeth on edge. I think like where I'm just like, this is like
You're saying
the-
that Bret Easton Ellis has got some wacky opinions? Is that what you're saying?
and also like the sort of glibness that is present in the characters like sort of infects like the filmmaking and how it like
Yeah.
treats certain sensitive subject matter in a way that really bothers me.
Oh yeah, I split that movie in half and came back, and there was like a scene of suicide, and I was just like,
That's
oh boy, oh great, glad to just jump right back into this nihilistic thing. Okay, like yeah.
Hopefully,
Yeah,
it's
it was
gotten better. Oh God, it's gotten worse.
Oh, it's gotten so much worse.
The montage of them, Vince, or what's his name, Vincent, somebody going overseas, and it's all
D'Onofrio?
quickly edited. Yeah,
It's Victor played by
Victor.
Kip Pardue. Yeah.
yeah, Kip
Oh.
Pardue, notoriously good guy. That scene kicks ass.
That
Let's
is the
see.
best part of the movie.
Yeah,
Easily.
probably
Easily.
21 for me is Two Family House. What just a lovely little movie that is. Kelly McDonald, my line's always open. Charlie, 21.
21 Gods and Monsters. Great performances. The whole biopic tropes kind of sunk it for me a little bit, but I still enjoyed chunks of it.
Bryden, you're number 21.
My number 21, we're now moving into 3.5 star territory for
Oh,
me, which
shit.
is nice. Urbania. Another
right.
movie where I was like,
Nice.
never heard of this before we did the show, and
Nope.
I liked it pretty well. I don't think the urban legend sort of framing device is really necessary at all for the movie for what it ends up being about, but it's really solid and really good. Again, like another thing where like if the lead performance wasn't so good, it probably wouldn't work as well. But like Futterman is like really relatable, even as his character reveals like sort of tougher edges to him. Yeah.
Dan Futterman. I'm watching Sex in the City in order for the first time, and I just got to the episode where Charlotte's dating him, and they're like, "You can't sleep with him; he's gay." And like,
He's in Sex and the City. Hold on.
no,
I
he
don't
is.
remember this.
He's the one where everyone thinks he's gay. So she's like, "I can't sleep with him," and then he's not. And now I'm trying to think of why Charlotte left him, and I can't. Oh, he's not gay, but he's too overtly feminine. Like there's like a mouse in the kitchen, and he freaks out more than she does. I'm like, that aged well. Anyway.
I'm seeing a tweet here. Watched some Sex and the City last night. And I want justice for Steven, the straight gay man Charlotte dates. He is a pastry chef, good in bed, a snappy dresser, great conversationalist, and notices when Carrie straightens her hair. Charlotte dumps him because he is too scared of a mouse.
Yeah, no, that's exactly it. I'm like,
Sure, I must too.
that's your breaking point.
I don't remember this episode at all.
Also, Charlotte's like that whole John Mulaney bit with Ice-T needing to be explained everything in Law and Order SVU. That is Charlotte in Sex in the City, where every episode she has no idea what a certain sexual fetish is or trope, and then she's just like, I don't want to be the up the butt girl like that. Yeah.
Has Kyle MacLachlan shown up yet?
Not yet.
Have fun.
Oh boy.
My number 20 is I just did a little. I switched up my 19 and 20 on the fly. My number 20 is Amorous Paris. Charlie.
My number 25 is Frailty, which I think is pretty good, and that ending still frustrates me and kind of I don't like being that person that's
Brother.
like
Yeah.
that ending just really doesn't even confuse me. I just
You're just like, why?
yeah, it opens, it makes everything less interesting for me, as opposed to like it's supposed to be shocking, and instead it actually reduces all the ambiguities to actually it is black and white, and I'm like, oh, or like, well, I shouldn't say it is black and white, but
It pretty much is like just like all that stuff you thought was like mysterious and whatnot. Why do you think that, you dumb son of a bitch? It's just like,
Yeah.
okay.
Only
all right.
demons should be confused by this ending. You're not a demon, are you?
you're not a demon.
Brian, you're number 20.
My number 20 is House of Thousand Corpses. I like it. It's the same. I gave it the same rating as I gave Devil's Rejects, but I feel like Devil's Rejects is taking itself like a little more seriously. Like it doesn't feel like it's and it balances its tone, I would say, better with like the black comedy and like the really horrific violence. But it's a good calling card movie.
Yes.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
And he got a lot better as he went on, which was nice.
Agreed.
Damn, that's 2 out of 3. You will hear me talk about it way later. My number 19 that I flipped is Frailty. Charlie.
My number 19 is Shadow of the Vampire. I liked Willem Dafoe's performance so much that I agree with you, Bryden. It should have been better, but like, my God, Dafoe is just chewing all of the scenery and just grabbing bats out of midair and biting their heads off, and it's kind of glorious camp. I wanted it to add up to more, but I loved anything that he was in, any scene that he was in. So
he's one of those guys where it's like, when is he bad? Like, I feel like he shows up.
There is
regularly.
one movie I don't think he's good in, and it's only because he's miscast, and it's not.
Is it Body of Evidence?
It is Body of Evidence, but I don't think it's his fault.
Gotta quit fucking around and watch.
I think he's actually pretty well cast in that, because he does, like, you can believe he can pull that off where he looks like a normal, like, sort of just straight-laced dude and everything, who ends up being like really fucked up and everything. Like he can play fucked up and straight-laced characters pretty well, and then he's like kind of folded into one where it's like, oh, he's like really having very missionary sex with Julianne Moore, and then he's doing like, and then he's like really awful to Madonna like later in that movie.
Oh yes,
like,
I just don't buy that.
Yikes.
I never buy Willem Dafoe as naive unless he's like comically naive, like in Life Aquatic with Steve Zissou or something, you know, where they just like they make him the most sensitive character by like 10 volts, you know, like he's far and away like playing it like he's heightened to a T, you know, that type of thing. But anyway,
Brian, you're number 19.
The Cooler. That was one of the movies I was talking about earlier, where I think I had a higher opinion of that when I was in high school, and it dropped like just ever so slightly on this rewatch, but like I still like a lot of it. Generally, I like sort of like the melancholy atmosphere and all the performances, and it's like, again, one of those movies where like maybe like I'm engaged by the main plot, but I also love like all the relationship stuff where it's just like the characters getting to know each other and like sort of like talk about their history that is like not necessarily momentum driven and or anything, but like it is just like good like character building stuff. I like that movie pretty well. So yeah, that was nice to see it still held up pretty well in my memory.
Hell yeah. Damn. I feel like one of y'all have to have this in the top 10 or ish, but probably talk about it for the last person who has it. My number 18 is Bully. Charlie.
wow, I'm surprised it's that low.
I mean, it's a 2.5, and I have it above a lot of 3 stars. So
That's fair. I'm in my 3.5 stars now. My number 20 is The Cat's Meow. I think watching so many amazing Bogdanovich films made me get my hopes up a little too high for this one, and thinking like I'm gonna go for the bat for this, and then I liked it. I wanted to love it. But
remember when
Kirsten
we watched
Dunst.
Targets? Didn't that kick ass?
Targets is amazing.
I just want to watch Targets every day.
Oh yeah, it's fantastic.
Targets
it's
on
good.
repeat.
Yeah. If Targets was on repeat, someone should call the police in somebody's house. That person's up to something, and it ain't good.
What were you saying about Kirsten Dunst, Charlie?
Oh, that she's like one of our best working actresses, and I think she's absolutely amazing. And it's insane to me that we mentioned it on the pod, but the fact that she made this and then Spider-Man came out like in wide release like 2 or 3 weeks later is just insane.
Yeah, that's nuts. Has anybody here seen what is it called? Woodshock?
No,
No.
I remember wanting to,
I've heard
and then the
that
reviews came out and
sucks. Yeah.
yeah, I heard it's bad.
Bryden, you're number 18.
Hang on, I'm just checking to see if you can watch. Oh, there we go. We can watch Woodshock on Tubi. There you go.
Of course you can.
That also seems like not an appropriate. I mean, I haven't even seen that thing, but I assume that movie's like very hypnotic and meditative. So like to just go from like droning.
So are
and-
car insurance ads. What are you talking about?
Jesus Christ.
Bryden, you're number 18.
Oh yeah. My number 18 is Amores Perros, which I like. I did not go down the redo rabbit hole like you guys did for like research.
It was just
I mean, I
me.
didn't. I
It
just
was
had
just
seen
me.
it.
Sorry,
It
I
was
should have
just
said Kevin.
No,
but-
I wasn't going to do that to myself again. God, no.
I didn't
Um,
do it again. That was the first time and the last time. Let me tell you.
Yeah, I
Birdman,
mean, it's definitely one of
perfectly
those
fine.
movies where like it's the first part of the movie, like the first segment is like the strongest, but like I think there's like good stuff to like in all of it, and like there's like a lot of like really dynamic camera work that's like really electrifying and exciting and like gets you, and like that's like where a lot of the excitement of the movie comes from. And there's also like there is like, even though it's not like all a laugh riot, there are like bits of like morbid humor in it that I think like help like alleviate some of like the bleakness.
Mhm.
Yeah, and really strong use of music too. I've been listening to one of my most listened tracks probably at the end of the year is "Si Senor" by Control
That
Machete.
track kicks ass.
That's a
It's-
great
good.
song. Yeah.
Let's see. For my number 17 is Rules of Attraction. Don't have a defense of this. I would say that kind of it's very interesting, this movie, and I don't even know if I talked about this on the pod, but it's very interesting, these movies that pretty sure I saw like right around when it came out. So I was like 12. Why was I watching this? But isn't it weird? Like you grow up and you're just like, oh, that's an adult movie. Like you
Mhm.
can't even imagine the shit that's in there. And
Oh, yeah.
now I'm just like, this is so cute. Look at this. I mean, not like suicide.
I wouldn't
and shit
call
like
it
that.
cute.
Yeah, I would not call it cute either.
I mean,
sorry,
I'm,
I said that.
I'm more so talking about like the drugs and oh my god, they're taking drugs and having sex, like that type of thing. Like when I was like 12 or 13, just being like, oh my god. And now I'm just like, yeah, it's called a rated R movie. What do you want? But like
guess
as
there's
12 or 13-year-old, I'm just like, oh my god, this movie would scar me if I watched it. And now
Also,
it's
I guess
just
there
like, yeah.
there is some charm, I think, to seeing some of these actors who are like a little bit older now and everything. I'm like, oh, look at how like babyface they are and everything, like Ian Somerhalder and James Van Der Beek and everything. It makes you think of David Sims. He has I think his Letterboxd review of The Yards, which is like a very grim crime movie. He's like saying, oh, look at Charlize Theron's chubby cheeks and everything.
Yeah. I don't know. I think it's fine, but I mean, it's for me, it was never not boring. And yeah, there's just the thing of like, there's never any. I don't even know if I was like 17 or 18 and this came out and been like, holy shit. But this is another thing. This is a total tangent, but there's just like, there's never any movies that feel controversial or feel like people are shielding their kids from it anytime. Like everything just feels so open and
Mhm.
just homogenized that nothing feels daring anymore. Like, what was the last like actual controversial movie? And like,
Well, very limited release movie, but Passages did get slapped with an NC-17. But as someone who worked at the movie theater and was showing it there, it's not like anyone was trying to sneak into Passages or bring their
Right.
children
and
to Passages.
whose mom who's not a film goer knows about Passages?
No, yeah, I know.
Yeah, like also you have the degeneration of movies so that people don't care about movies. So how can something be controversial if nobody even cares to figure out what it's about or anything like that? Anyways, way too long about Rules of Attraction. Charlie, you're number 17.
My number 17 is Urbania, which was a bit of a what is this movie? And then the rare example of once it revealed its cards, I was a little let down when I figured out what was happening, and at the same time was deeply moved by the time it played out. So and yeah, Dan Futterman, great performance. Yeah, another movie, a few of these had no idea what this was going into it, had no idea it was even a queer thriller, and yeah, I think it's worth checking out for sure. Definitely a little dated, but still strong piece of work. So
Brian, you're number 17.
My number 17 was Bully, a movie that I had seen earlier in the pandemic and was extremely put off by in ways, and still puts me off in ways that I don't appreciate necessarily. I think Larry Clark has some very dubious filmmaking methods that are on display here, but the performances I think are all just like uniformly fantastic. I mean, Brad Renfro's open wound performance just like is like sticks in my brain, gets under my skin in a way that is, I think, very effective, and I'm happy to have witnessed it. And I think it sort of like his I think Clark's up close and personal approach like is effective in certain parts, like the murder scene. I think like that's like really upsettingly visceral. But then like yeah, there's other parts of it that's why it's not so high. But like there's still parts of it that I can't quite get over in terms of like turning my stomach in ways that I don't appreciate. But and like that's definitely influenced by the fact that you know, I've heard some of Larry Clark's quotes in real life that do not make me like him as a persona. But no, it was a movie. It was a good movie to chew over, but while watching it afterwards, while talking about it with y'all. Yeah.
Well, it's a good thing he's the only filmmaker on our list that we have some issues with in real life. Oh wait, nope. Nope.
What's that?
Yeah, what?
Next stop, Dogville. My number 16.
That's not even the one I was thinking of.
Oh god.
There are like a couple
Oh, yeah,
we
yeah.
can talk about. Yeah.
What part of New York are you from? I'm from Buffalo 66. My number 16 is Saw. It's fine, but can't deny the fucking twist. It's pretty great stuff. Charlie, you're number 16.
My number 16 is The Cooler, which I'm surprised I have this higher than anybody else.
Yeah, you're warm on The Cooler, weren't you?
I am warm on The Cooler. I think a big chunk of it, I mean, the performances are all great. I knew Alec Baldwin was going to be great going into it because of the awards buzz living through that, but I mean, and I knew she was going to be great, but I do think the main reason this movie stuck with me is because of Maria Bello. I think Maria Bello is absolutely fantastic in this movie. And you know, very, you know, it's a formulaic story to a certain extent, sure, but sometimes just watching a film, talk about, this is also a controversial movie. This is a controversial movie where you get to the sex scene and you're like, that's it? Like,
I mean, yeah.
What's wrong? Yeah. But yeah, solid character study, solid crime film, and the love story moved me more than I initially expected it to. So
Bryden, you're number 16.
My number 16 is Devil's Rejects.
Right.
You know, I think at the time that I talked about it, it was like one of those movies where I admired it more than I actually enjoyed it. But it is a movie that stuck with me. Like I can recall certain scenes very vividly, and certain line reads and needle drops. And yeah, I think it really does like demonstrate real growth for him. Zombie seems like I'm more like attuned to what Zombie's doing in that film than in House of Thousand Corpses, where I feel like House of Thousand Corpses is more just sort of like a sort of funhouse mirror of like, you know, just like all this like ghoulish imagery and everything. And here I feel like he's like actually doing something. He's trying to make like a statement about something and like trying to make a story with like characters, even as like depraved and psychopathic as they are people as well, with like, you know, distinct personalities and senses of humor and, you know, emotional connections to each other. And I find that that sort of contrast between like all the horrible stuff that they do really interesting. Yeah, no, and again, like great conversation with y'all and
with Scout Tafoya. Yeah,
really fun.
It really is crazy. Just real quick, I remember when that came out, I was not allowed to see it right away, although I did soon after. But I do remember just even the media being like it's not like that movie got like rave reviews, but it got very split. But people were like, "Oh my god, this is so much better than House of a Thousand." Like critics were like, "This is insane! How much better this is!" Like, yeah. And Kevin is well, I don't need. This is one of the few times we're using video, so you don't need
it would just be like that time my dad accidentally turned on what's it called whenever it's a setting where it will just describe everything that's happening on TV.
Yep.
He had that on for like 2 weeks, and I was just like, what are you doing? And he was like, I don't know. I guess this show is just like this. I was like, no, Lethal Weapon on TNT doesn't just describe everything that happens.
That's a setting for
Really
the heart of
experimental.
seeing.
Well, to piggyback off that, my number 15 is Devil's Rejects as well.
Oh boy.
This is maybe my most like I would never say best episode, but the most like impactful one to me for the conversation we had that made me just be like, damn, okay. It made me appreciate it way much more. And yeah. Charlie, you're number 15.
My number 15 is Amores Perros, which I loved in high school, just like I loved a lot of Inarritu stuff in high school. And it definitely isn't as good as I remembered, but it's still far and away Inarritu's best film. And I can't deny that there are certain moments as despairing as some of them may be that still, hit me in the gut. And I think the acting's really great. I mean, Gail Garcia Bernal is, obviously incredible. And yeah, I do like all the stories. Inarritu's his streak of cruelty started here. I don't feel like it's not as nihilistic or as mean-spirited towards its characters as certain future films he would make would be, but I can't deny that, like, as a debut, it's still like there's some stuff in it that's pretty astonishing. So
yeah, you can see the features and bugs and how they would become
exactly
like how they become more troublesome as he went on, but like it's still very effective. My number 15 is Mr. Jealousy, and I was talking about it earlier, Kevin. I think when you were taking a bit of a break, Mr. Jealousy, I do find it's left a little bit in my estimation just after we recorded, but I still enjoy it quite a bit. I laughed consistently. I like all the performances. I liked sort of like how it looks a little different than some of Baumbach's other movies in terms of how he moves the camera. But I can see how maybe people could find it just a little bit tiresome, and it's not quite as emotionally impactful or even as consistent and quite as like hilarious as like some of his other later movies, I would say. But no, I think it's still pretty strong. I'm in the tank for him. But yeah.
Let's see. We've in our chat we have a Mr. I don't know if you guys know this guy, Jack Draper. He said Whispers, Shattered Glass for the top 3. We'll see, Jack.
Well, none of us have named it yet. So
my number 14 is May. Dun, 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 dun. Charlie, what's your number 14?
My number 14 is May.
Brian, what's your number 14?
Dogville.
Fuck!
A movie I was not expecting. I never would have watched. Was not expecting to like. Found myself mulling over it a lot more than I expected to, and like I've said before, conversation brought a lot of interesting dimensions to me. Sort of revealed new dimensions to me, which I thought was very exciting, very challenging film in a way that I think is actually mostly a good thing.
I feel like you're not very vocal about things you're not looking forward to, but I remember Dogville was one that you were like, I am kind
Do
of
we have to?
Yeah.
I don't want to go to Dogville.
What, like Clifford, like that movie Clifford with Martin Short, where he just
you will shoot Paul Bentley in the head and you will like it.
He goes into the cockpit. Any chance we could stop at Dogville on the way? And just tanks the plane.
I need to watch that. My goodness,
it's very funny.
It's a good time.
Extremely demented.
My number 13 is Mr. Death. The Rise and Fall of Fred A. Lutcher Jr. from 1999. I gave it 3.5 stars. Why am I still talking? Charlie, you're number 13.
My number 13 is But I'm a Cheerleader. And yeah, it's very, very charming. I still don't love it as much as a lot of people, as much as I want to, but I'm always, but that's only because I feel like its most impassioned fans are like live and die by that movie. But I still find it so funny and so charming. And my God, the production design, the art direction, the cast. I don't know what happened to Kathy Moriarty. Please bring her back because she's hilarious in this.
Oh my goodness.
Yeah, it's a good time.
Brad, you're number 13.
Last Night, another movie where I had seen it before, was like I for some reason didn't like it. I watched it like in a Canadian cinema class and watched it again, and like there's definitely like some parts of it that still like kind of like that still kind of annoy me. I don't love really the Callum Keith Rennie section of the movie still, but I love like the Sandra Oh and Don McKellar stuff. And again, it's like one of those movies where there's so many like bits that are like equal parts like sort of amusing in a deadpan way, but also like very affecting because like you could see sort of like the melancholy emotions that are like underneath like all the some of the more sardonic humor. Yeah, a lovely little movie. And I was again, like it's one of those things where the podcast will push me to rewatch stuff that I am not always a fan of, and I sometimes come out the other side and have a different opinion. So that's nice.
My number 12 is Jesus' Son. I don't know if I said this on the pod. There's a great song by Priest called Jesus' Son, and the music video is emulating the music video from March of the Pigs by Nine Inch Nails. I am just a mark for
Oh, yeah.
Charlie, you're number 12.
My number 12 is Mr. Death, which
Please
Errol
put
Morris...
your hands together for Mr. Death.
Mr. Death. Oh my god, that would have been a very different episode of Camp Krusty if very
Camp Krusty's going overseas. All right.
Yeah. It's funny, this I think, well, there's actually a few we're going to get into, but I remember this one making me like, and I mean this in a complimentary way also. I think we're officially in my 4 stars and up now. So this is my first 4-star movie. This movie made me feel like ill in certain ways. Like my stomach was in knots watching it. And I mean that as a good thing, because I don't think you can make a movie about this subject matter and have it be pleasant or even a little bit like it's completely morally conflicting. But I love that Errol Morris just lets his subjects do the talking and then he'll frame everything around it and how to present it. And yeah, very unsettling, queasy movie that is undeniably effective. Also, the opening sequence was shot in the Museum of Science in Boston, which is wild to me because I grew up going to that exhibit. Anyway.
Y'all got thunderbolts in this museum here. Brian, you're number 12.
My number 12 is The Cat's Meow. Really liked it a lot. Again, Bogdanovich was a director who I had only seen like a couple of his like later period stuff where, you know, I wasn't quite on into those. So like it was nice to sort of push myself to go back and watch some of his older stuff, his research, and really enjoyed that. Paper Moon, one of the best things I've probably watched so far this year. And Cat's Meow in a sort of similar way. I love like how it is like this kind of like zany, like sort of fast moving comedy and everything. Like there are like a lot of bits in it that are very like heightened and silly, but then like there is also this like very haunted sort of quality and everything where like it does feel like there's like it's always on the brink of despair and like or just like skirting the edge of despair and before like it fully embraces it at the end and is like really affecting, I think. Yeah, and just like everyone is so good. Oh my gosh. I mean, Edward Herrmann. I mean, it's funny, like Edward Herrmann shows up and I'm like, oh yeah, the great dad from Gilmore Girls. And then as the movie goes on, I'm like, this guy fucking sucks. He's such a baby and everything. But no, I love the childishness of that performance, and Dunst is so good, seeming life beyond her years, even though she is like, you know, trapped in her position or letting yourself be trapped. Yeah, really good movie. Highly recommend that.
I also very much I had to keep reminding myself where I was like, I want to be on that boat. And then I had to keep reminding myself, nobody's having any fun.
Nobody has Wi-Fi. This boat sucks. My number 11, and since Mr. Death, we've been in my 3.5 stars. My number 11 is Affliction. Charlie.
Nice. My number 11 is Shattered Glass. A movie that I watched in journalism class in high school. And when you watch anything in high school that you haven't seen, you're like, oh, great, we don't have to learn anything today. And then remember being like, oh, that was pretty good. And then I remember going when we were, you know, assigned to watch it again, I was like, oh yeah, you know, movie I watched in school. This is a movie that I thought was even better as an adult. And also like, I was not paying attention to the editing, the filmmaking on display, and just how good I knew more of the cast members at this time around too. So like everybody in the fucking world is in this movie and they're all killing it. And yeah, it's just an engrossing, like Mr. Death, true story. Although this one is definitely, it's not a documentary, it's fictionalized, but from everything that we've talked about and like research, it seems pretty spot on. And yeah, just, but more importantly, as a fucking movie, it is, yeah, pretty electrifying stuff. So.
Brian, you're number 11.
My number 11 is May, a movie I respect a lot. I think is like beautifully directed. But holy hell, it is one of those movies where like I like again, it's the inverse of like the Eyes of Tammy Faye, where like, you know, where within the first minute it's like let me out. I don't want to be in this world. Whatever. But it is
Get me out
very
of this
well
glass
directed and
cage,
acted.
please.
But it is like it is just an impeccably directed movie, and acted and cut together and scored and soundtracked, and just like the unpleasant atmosphere that it conjures, while also being surprisingly humane, and also finding like weird bits of like black comedy in it, I think is like really quite an achievement. But it is not a movie I am keen to rewatch ever. I found it. I think I don't know if like that's a unique thing for that movie, but like I found it like uniquely unpleasant for me.
You didn't find a sequence of blind children crawling through broken glass to be a pleasant experience?
Not the first thing that comes
That
to
scene
mind.
is very funny.
I mean, that's the thing that's impressive about the movie is like it will just be like this stuff that is like horrifying, but also is like kind of funny when like it's like the dead cat is found in the freezer by Jane Savall, and she's like, "Are we still friends?" She's like, "Fuck no."
Yeah.
Let's see. Jack is asking, she's funny that way on exiting win.
Oh yeah. That was the first Bogdanovich I ever saw. I didn't like it, but I was
gonna
in
make
high
a joke
school.
that you were watching the Cat's Meow, being like, getting a lot of "she's funny that way" vibes from this. I haven't seen that one, and Dan talking
me
about
too.
the director's cut. I'm just like, well, I'm just gonna wait till I can see the director's cut.
Yeah, I wish.
Mhm.
Hopefully, that's available sometime soon.
Yeah.
Where are we at? Oh, I think we're
Top 10.
I think we're in top 10. I'm still in my 3.5 stars, and I will be until number 7. But number 10 is Fahrenheit 9/11. Charlie, you're number 10.
Ooh, that's high.
Yeah, it is. I really like the second half.
Hot in here with these takes. It's-
Jesus
Oh,
Christ.
boy. Hopefully it
Ugh,
doesn't go
ugh,
11
ugh.
over 9.
Oh
Ugh.
boy.
Just wait till you hear my number 4.
Oh dear. My number 10 is Jesus' Son, which I did not know about, and went in completely blind and found it to be very engrossing and also not entirely pleasant. But another movie where I had no idea where this thing was going to go, and every vignette was kind of like always never took a turn that I was expecting, and great performances. Jack Black's segment in particular, my god.
Oh, yeah.
Samantha Morton, always loved her. Billy Crudup's great. Yeah, it's it's one that very much surprised me, because I thought I knew what I was getting into when I read, the brief synopsis, and I found it to be, this is the movie when we were talking about rules of attraction and films about drug use. This is the one that I think is like a much better example for me, at least, that when it comes to, and then obviously they're approaching different styles, and their aims are different, but the type of aimlessness on display here, and the emptiness at the core of it, I found to be much more powerful than something like Rules of Attraction. So
Mhm.
yeah.
Bryden, you're number 10.
My number 10 is Lovely and Amazing.
Mm.
Again, weirdly one of the movies I'd seen before in this series and didn't like it the first
Same.
time. I think I'd seen it before and was like, man, these characters are fucking annoying and everything. And now like I have a little more, and now like, almost 10 years later, I have like a lot more sympathy for them and everything, even though the movie is owning up to all their flaws and virtues as people and everything, I think, and finding the humor and sympathy in that, understanding why Catherine Keener is driven to do the things that she's done. And it's like, it's not, sympathy is maybe the wrong word. It makes you, there's enough complexity to her character where like you understand why she's driven to do the things you do without ever letting her off the hook for the worst things that she does. But also like, she's, everyone's treated like a person. Yeah.
When the cops show up and she's in the car with Jake Gyllenhaal and they're just like, ma'am, get out of the car. And she's like, we weren't driving. Like,
Yeah, that's
like,
what we were worried about. Yeah.
And like her own awareness. I mean, Charlie, I think the line you pointed out is like, oh, I have that sweater when she sees Gyllenhaal's mom. It's just like that dawning realization.
Oh my god, I have that same sweater.
Yeah.
That's what she thought of when she saw her mom, Gyllenhaal's mom. Oh my god, so good.
Yeah. And Paul Sutter just like times the comedic beats like so perfectly, I think. And like there's so many like line reads and gestures I could think of. The one I don't think I mentioned in the episode was when she's arguing with like Clark Gregg about intentionally stepping on her art, and he's just like And like it's like scoffs and like he's such a piece of shit, right? But like it's sort of the indignance of that is indignation of that is so funny, I think.
So funny.
I don't have this DVD anymore. It is $4 on eBay. Let me go ahead and get that again. What about Walking and Talking? I need to get that DVD again. Yeah, we're doing a
love that
podcast.
And
My
the
number
new movie's so
9.
good too. That hadn't come out
Yes.
at the time that we
Yeah.
did that episode.
Yes.
That's one of my favorites of the
Mhm.
year so far.
Same here. Very,
She-
very good.
She really has like one movie that I'm just like, no thanks. And all
And
the rest
I
of
like
them-
that one.
That's the one I haven't seen. Yeah.
Pretty good.
My number 9 is Dogville. I think about this movie often. This movie is a lot. This movie is very long. This movie is everybody is in this movie, but by God, is it compelling. Very compelling. I like it a lot. Maybe my favorite Lars von Trier, who knows?
It's up there. For
Yeah.
me. Yeah.
My favorite out of 3. That's the
Um,
thing I always need to clarify with some of these directors we talk about. It's like, it's my favorite thing I've seen that they've done. Or that I've
it's like,
seen.
it's like,
Done.
oh, it's your favorite. What's your top 3? That times 3. Yeah.
Yeah.
Charlie, you're number 9.
My number 9 is Bully. It was in my top 10, Kevin. Like you both have touched upon, some of Larry Clark's ethics when it comes to filming this, dubious, questionable. I can't deny that this thing emotionally guts me, and I watched it a ton in high school because I had a lot of problems in high school. Not really, but I watched it more than most teenagers should, because I couldn't deny the impact that it had on me, and I still think this thing is pretty electrifying and pretty devastating and very haunting, and you feel like you need to leave the room watching certain sequences of this because it feels all too real. And most of the time I mean that as a compliment. I think ultimately too, the movie could completely deflate if they didn't get the murder and the aftermath right, and I think that that is easily the strongest aspect of the movie. Is these teenagers are just dumb teenagers, and as gross as some of the hour building up to it is, it's also convincing in that respect too. It really tapped it. I feel like it has its finger on the pulse of aimless teens who have nothing, who feel everything all too much, and also have can feel completely aimless, depressed, purposeless in life, and then ultimately just make really terrible life altering and life taking decisions that gut me. So yeah, can't deny this thing is in my opinion a powerhouse. So
I think about the line that my man says when it's like, is he dead? He's like,
getting
in
there.
there. Rough.
How Heather learned to read is also a thing that I think about often, where it's not even like, that's not even the summing, the thing that starts the story. That's the thing. She tells this fucked up story and she goes, oh yeah, I think that's how I learned to read. And you're like, oh dear God.
I think about
But it is, obviously I don't want to undersell how upsetting parts of that movie are. Be warned if you have not seen it.
Trigger warning. There's a lot
yeah.
of fucked up shit in this movie.
But like there are bits of it that are like unexpectedly very funny, like how much Leo Fitzpatrick just hates Michael Pitt in the movie. He's just like
So
saying,
good.
like, what are you gonna do with that bat? You gonna play baseball?
Well, he has every right to.
Oh yeah, he's a fucking dumbass.
Michael Pitt's in court. I don't even know what I'm doing here. You stabbed him 3 times, man. Like,
oh yeah. Yeah, and I think about the court scene so often. That's just incredible. Yeah. Where are we at? Bryden, you're number 9.
Oh yeah. It's
Entourage the movie. Okay.
It's
I'm leaving.
That is,
Oh.
like terrible fucking joke. My goodness.
Hell
But yeah, no, I mean, I kind of just like I do find like that era of like Shakespeare adaptations. I find it interesting as a comparison to other teen Shakespeare modernized adaptations that were coming out, like 10 Things I Hate About You and feel like there were other ones. Why am I being a dumbass? I mean, Get Over It is about like the Shakespeare school
Clueless?
production that's going on.
Well, Clueless
Clueless?
is not Shakespeare. It's
It's
fucking
Austin.
Jane Austen.
That there we go.
Yeah.
Yeah, but
That's
and I like
Gal Austin. She
Yeah.
writes
And
wicked sonnets. Yeah.
I do like how this one is like willing to embrace like the bleakness of its narrative, like not like soft pedaling, even though it is like, you know, marketed for teens and like it's like does sort of have the sheen of like a teen movie with like, you know, sort of the cutting edge soundtrack of like, you know, current hip hop hits and, you know, like the sort of YA cast members and everything like Josh Hartnett and Julia Stiles and everything. And I do think that there's like a lot of interesting commentary about race and sexuality and like sort of and relationship violence. And I think I think in like modernizing it and like making it like sort of like accessible to like relatable to like in terms of like how the characters talk and making it like recognizable to like teenagers of that time and everything. I don't think it like loses it's not like dumbing itself down at the same time, and I do think like there's a real urgency to it. Yeah, no, I found it very enjoyable, and like it is like a thing where I know Ebert's review at the time said like, you know, it's like, oh, Josh Hartnett, like, you know, you see he like there is like a lot more depth to him in this performance than like you'd expect and everything, and I think
There's
you know yeah,
depth to his performance.
God damn it.
I'm sorry,
You
I did
remember
not-
that he whispered the whole movie. It's
I'm
not
sorry.
forgettable.
I'm sorry,
I guess.
Bryden. That was mean. I interrupted
watch
you.
your girl, bro.
Josh Hartnett ASMR. Oh God.
Damn,
And-
guys, join the chat. Yeah.
And the thing that I thought about this earlier. I'm sorry I didn't write notes down, but I think it is interesting how it is like you can see its like roots in like and not just theater, but also like sort of like the time in which the original play was written. I say that's not having read Othello. That was not one of the plays we studied in high school or anything, but the scene where like, you know, Odin James. I almost called him Othello. He's no one has the same character names as they are in like the original play, but
Hi,
when
how's
he's
it
like
going? My name is Othello. What?
yeah.
That would be amazing if everybody had normal names and they all just went, what? Whenever you announced.
John. Yeah.
They call Iago E for short.
Oh God, another entourage gag too. Jesus.
But like when like there's the whole scene where like Andrew Keegan and Josh Hartnett are like, you know, are talking in the room and everything, and Odin James has been sent out to like listen on the balcony outside and everything. It's like, oh, you could totally see like this is like a scene that would have happened like because there's like so much eavesdropping and like, you know, sort of like, you know, listening and like using the like and how the sets are used in like a play like, you know, Romeo and Juliet or, you know, Much Ado About Nothing or something. But like it's believable that like this is that's still happening in like this present day time, you know, because they're at a boarding school and that's like just how the school was built and everything. Like it's I think it is like really well thought out and how it's like transposing like this old material into like a modern day setting. Yeah, no, I like that movie a lot and underseen, underrated in my opinion, but yeah, no, it was yeah, that's my take on it.
We are at number 8. My number 8, or should I say my number 1,000, is House of 1,000 Corpses. This movie kicks fucking ass. Even when I hated Devil's Rejects over the years, I've still always liked House of 1,000. And yeah, this is the most movie Rob Zombie has made, and I love it for it. It's got split screens, it's got diopter shots, it's got everything, and I'm just a big fan of it.
Does have Karen Black in it too?
It does. God, what is it? I'm trying to think of. Who do you think is better, her or who replaces her in Devil's Rejects?
Oh God, I mean, I love the monologue that Jesus Christ, I'm so sorry. Leslie Easterbrook's monologue in Devil's Rejects when she's
really
chained
good.
up. I think that God, it's almost not even fair because I feel like Karen Black has less to do in the House of 1,000 Corpses. But
That's true.
You know.
But yeah, that's incredible. And then her laughing at the end of it.
Oh my God. I did that for my high school drama class. That would be incredible though if you just had some 16-year-old give that monologue.
I will be playing the role that William Forsythe played. And you're like, what?
Hold on, let me just plug in my boombox to play Midnight Rider.
Yeah.
Are you
I know
gonna
it's a different
act?
scene,
Hold
but
on,
still,
hold
like,
on,
yeah.
hold on. You gotta wait till like the second verse. Hold on. Yeah. Charlie, you're number 8.
My number 8, and I think this is the first time we've mentioned this one, is Tape, which is Richard Linklater joint, unlike any other Richard Linklater joint, I would say. Not
Hell
in
yeah.
terms of like because obviously he's made like lo-fi stuff like this before, but like I think in terms of just the subject matter, it's definitely feels like his darkest movie to me, and it's thorny and deeply like. Would you say this one's controversial? I would say, yeah. I mean,
I think maybe people would maybe have issue with like the perspective it takes. I think the movie is like very intentional and deflating that perspective taking the forefront. But
I feel like if you release this movie in theaters now, people would not be into it, or like people would be much more abrasive towards it. But I think that's all works in the movie's favor, and I think that the movie is about very, very tough to stomach subject matter, but ultimately is very rich and very complex, and you think you know who certain people are at the beginning of this thing or every time they arrive, and then they always reveal a different layer. I think Uma Thurman is the secret weapon of this movie, and
Absolutely.
Even though she gets far less screen time than the other two, that's all very much intentional. And my god, this was the second time I've seen it, and it wasn't any easier to watch. And again, that's a good thing, because and it's also like just in terms of adapting what is essentially it's not a stage play, is it? It feels like it could be, though, right?
It was a stage play.
It is a
Stephen
stage play.
Belberg. Yeah.
Sorry, yes. I think that you could, a lot of people these days would watch this thing and be like, why does this thing look like shit? But it's like it captures the aesthetic of the
beautiful.
The aesthetic, the crumminess. You can practically smell that motel room. It's so gross. I think that's all extremely well done in making you feel as trapped in that very claustrophobic space as the characters themselves. So yeah.
If you'll excuse me, I'm gonna do a double feature of Tape and Vacancy. Bryden, you're number 8.
That would be really funny if they were just banging. If Kate Beckinsale and Luke Wilson were like banging on the windows, and they were like, "Hold on a second." Yeah, it all takes place in the same motel.
She's like, "What's going on outside? It sounds like a car just hit a phone booth." Anyways, you cheated on me. Yeah. Bryden, you're number 8.
My number 8 is Frailty.
Hell yeah.
A movie I had seen that was like a twist movie that like rocked my brain when I was like a teenager. Like, oh fuck, like yeah. But no, like beyond like just like that sort of how it all shakes out at the end, I do like find sort of the again like sort of the mix of like the genuine warmth that Bill Paxton is able to display in some of those familial scenes, especially at the start of the movie, mixed with like and still taking that tone even as he's like committing these horrifying actions with his sons alongside him. I find like that sort of tonal clash really upsetting in a way that I also find like really gripping. And I think like it makes me sad that Paxton didn't direct more too, because I think there's like some real visual flourishes that are like really oppressive, like when he's like that crazy special effect shot of when like he's under the car and like the sparks like reveal like like a fiery angel like coming out to see
that
him,
is
and like
great.
and poking holes, and also like keeping you on edge as to like, well, where is this character at? Is he actually, are the things he's seeing and hearing real and everything? And like, you have that shot or the cut afterwards where it's just like a wide shot of like him under the car while like all the shop noise is going on. No, I think it's really, really effective at keeping you off balance. And I also liked, again, there was a new dimension that I hadn't necessarily thought of when we talked about it with our friend Michelle. But like her talking about like the ending of being like, well, if you like sort of where, yes, it's true, but also what if it's like God is bad and everything? And I'm not saying that belief applies to like my real life religious beliefs and anything, but I like that how that works into the movie. I think that does lend to sort of a nice foreboding edge if you read the movie's ending like that. So that was nice to have that sort of new read brought to us with our discussion.
Yeah, absolutely. Do you remember this? I think for whatever reason, I just thought of the scene where Jeremy Sumter's like, Dad, I also have a list of names God told me to. God
It's
told
just
me.
people that bully you at school, kid.
No. I want a sequel where Matthew McConaughey goes back and kills all of those kids who bullied him in school.
I mean, did we joke about how like it's like the Billy Madison scene of like people to kill and everything?
Yeah, it is. Yes, it is.
I feel like that was a joke that someone must have made. If we did,
I'm sure one of us did.
If we don't, we gotta go back.
Yeah, we gotta insert that now. Man, I'm glad I called that guy.
My number 7 is Shattered Glass. This is probably the best movie that we covered that I had not seen previously. And I
Mm.
thought this was just going to be okay at best, but this actually kicks fucking ass. Everybody is bringing their A game. I think about Peter Skarsgård's just utter defeated carelessness towards Hayden Christensen's character. It just makes me so happy. And also think of Hayden Christensen constantly him saying, "It's like I got the stinking suspicion that I have been duped all the time."
Are
Yeah,
you mad at me?
you're fired.
an-
You have lost your job.
Also love Zana that was an N, as
Oh,
in
yeah.
not working.
Yeah, Shatterglass. It's fucking awesome. Charlie, you're number 7.
My number 7 is Lovely and Amazing, a film I liked when I saw it a few years ago and liked it even more this time because I've seen even more Nicole Holofcener films, and I think, piggybacking off what has already been said, it's bitter and mean at times, but also deeply humane at others, and sometimes all at once in the same moment in the same scene. And I love these. I love the way Nicole Holofcener writes these very complicated, on the outset, very I don't want to be anywhere near these people type of characters, but then reveals just how vulnerable and how truly lonely and achingly lonely they are, I guess. Yeah, I and all of the dark comedy is just great. So yeah, like this one a lot.
Bryden, you're number 7.
Yeah, my number 7 is Tape.
Hell yeah.
Linklater is another one of my guys. I love so many of his movies. Looking forward to the new one they just got coming out.
Yeah,
Yes.
it's a shame that it's going to be dropped on Netflix. That news just got announced like yesterday,
Yeah, I know, because that fucked over his last movie too, which was also really good.
which I still haven't seen, and that's my fault. But I do agree with him that if it was in theaters, I probably would have seen it by now.
Yeah, I gotta just get. It is just really a matter of me getting my ass out of the house to get to the theater. So I will try to do that for this new one. Yeah, no, Tape. I mean, it's interesting. Also, just as an outlier, we were talking about, like, it is like an angrier movie than a lot of like Linklater's other sort of like good times, sort of like laid back movies and everything. Although, like, even like Dazed and Confused, a movie I love and find like extremely comforting, there is like an undercurrent of like aggression that like runs throughout that whole movie. It is interesting to sort of like find that running through like a lot of his movies, and this is one where it just happens to be at the forefront of it rather than under the surface. And yeah, I think everyone is like super locked into the performances where like it is like, and how Ethan Hawke, like his sort of his chattiness is like very it is very insistent in a way that seems very ingratiating at first, but then it's like it does sort of reveal its like hidden aggression. And I think like as it sort of like boils over as the movie goes on, I think it is like very compelling to watch. And like I said, I think, yes, I could maybe see some people taking issue with like the story of like, looking at the story of like these two men who have treated this woman badly and prioritizing their perspective for so much of the runtime. But I think like the movie taking the movie more than takes the men down a peg by the end of it, so that like it sort of is justified, especially the way like, and Uma Thurman, you're right, so concisely, her character is written so concisely, cuts them down to size, and also the way that she just like is so severe and like facing off against them, and like does comparatively little in terms of like and her acting. I would say like she's not like quite as showy as Hawken or anything, but like is just like the way she's just able to stonewall them whenever they try to like get information out of her, I think is like really effective. And also, I mean, we're talking about needle drops, so some of these movies that we've talked about are like loaded to the hilt with music, and like this movie just needs the one song at the end to sort of like add like the little joke of like just like
So
the
good.
self-pity that these two shitty guys feel is like just completely worthless. I'm sorry, it's like just the perfect capper to it all. Yeah.
Jack Draper has said, this is in response to Shattered Glass. So the quote, "Did I do something wrong?" Bryden when he is told to watch Dogville. My number 6 is But I'm a Cheerleader. Just a fantastic fun time, and I love everybody in it. Charlie, you're number 6.
My number 6, didn't even plan this, but my number 6 is Buffalo 66.
Hey.
A film that I knew was going to be great, and it is. And the Vincent Gallo-ness of it kept me at bay for a little bit, and I know I'm a hypocrite for saying that because Trouble Every Day is one of my favorite movies. He works with Claire Denis all the time, but I was like a little wary of like, just diving in. And Michael Snydell, who was our guest on our episode, I remember us talking back and forth that like we were like knowing what a scumbag he is in real life. I remember we were texting each other back and forth like, fuck, I think this is brilliant. And it is like one of those things like he might be a terrible person, but you cannot deny he is an artist, and oh boy, is he a hell of an artist. I mean, this is his first movie. It's got all these different types of like filmmaking techniques and breaking reality and like the dark comedy of it all. I mean, my God, the Christina Ricci character is like cracked me up so many times. Where, oh, what would you like to drink, honey? A rum and coke? What? Diet Coke? Yeah, all right, yeah. I mean, even the president is so proud of him. Like I another movie where I thought, I don't know why, but I thought I knew what I was getting into, where it was just like, okay, he's going to take her to meet his parents, and his parents are going to be, normal. And then it's going to be like this, ridiculous thing. And like, oh no, they're just as fucked up as he is, maybe more so. And
they are the reason he's fucked up, probably.
They're the reason he's fucked
big part
up.
of it.
My God. It was probably, sometimes this was the big challenge for me, where I was just like, fuck, like I know, like sometimes bad people make great art. Whether or not you choose to engage with them is absolutely up to you, and nobody should be shamed or encouraged, like whatever, what have you. But this is an electrifying piece of cinema that I found completely eruptive. So yeah.
Brian, you're number 6.
My number 6, American Psycho. Hadn't seen this since I was in high school. Really admired it again. Just like, again, it was one of those movies where like, just like the most quotable lines, like I have to return some videotapes, and the whole like Huey Lewis and News monologue. But there's also just like little lines that I think are like so funny, just like show it, like not just like how inhuman Bateman is when he's like dealing with people like in murderous actions, but like when like his girlfriend starts crying, he's just like, all right, I've assessed the situation and I'm leaving and everything, just treating it like a business decision. Like, and then like that's just how this guy treats his personal life, is like so fucked up, but also like really funny. And how the movie again like toes that line where like it knows when to be like just straight up horrifying. Like I think like a lot of the scenes of violence, and like when it's not showing the violence and just showing the aftermath, it's like you get a clear sense where like you don't get like the ironic needle drops and necessarily. Oh my gosh, Charlie. Jeez. Sorry, Charlie just shared something in our chat. Oh, cool.
I don't remember that line.
Sorry.
But
like my own
yeah,
thing.
and I think all the performances, like all these characters are ciphers and everything, but like they are like every performance is like very locked in and anything, like sort of like the douchey bro that like Josh Lucas plays and anything, where you could just feel like he's like snidely laughing and basically just every time he opens his mouth and everything. Yeah, like just the bits of like where it does tilt into the horror movie aspect of it. I mean, this movie is like very heightened and everything. It's not trying to be realistic, so like the tonal shifts are like a little more welcome, I guess. And I do think there is like the end of the movie is I've talked about the movie, the movies. I think it's like, well, did he do it? Was he all imagining it? And like I think that after a certain point, that is like a bit of a fool's errand, because that sounds mean. It is like one of those things where I don't think it really matters, but there is like, even no matter how you think about it, like the fact that this guy just like says like, well, it doesn't mean anything because I'll get away with it no matter what and anything. Just like that's like what his privilege affords him, and it is like that feels very trenchant or very incisive about how our world does work in many ways. So yeah, no, there's definitely a lot to that movie that I really like still, while also being very funny and entertaining. Yeah. And much better than the Rules of Attraction, but it was fun to watch like both those movies and see how they compared in terms of their worldviews of the world being a terrible place.
It was a good double feature. Yeah.
My number 5, we were in the top 5.
Were you just rearranging your list?
Don't ask. My number 5 is Lovely and Amazing. This is my favorite Nicole
Yeah.
Holofcener movie. I love it so much. Maybe one of my favorite comedic performances is Catherine Keener in this movie. Can't believe we got my man Dylan McDermott in here. That's great. Yeah, love this movie. Charlie, you're number 5.
My number 5 is American Psycho. Just piggybacking off of everything Brian says, I agree with you wholeheartedly. Sadly, one of those movies that 20 years from now has become kind of like, I feel like people lump this movie in with like Fight Club as like the movies that bros love for the wrong reasons. But you know what? There's always going to be stupid people who who misunderstand art. And this movie is so on point about masculinity and consumerism, and just it's such a biting, dark, funny satire where everybody is such a narcissist and stuck in their own head. And yeah, I couldn't agree with you more. I feel like, I mean, I haven't read this book. I've read Less Than Zero by Bret Easton Ellis, which I liked in college. You know, don't know how I'd feel about it now, but like based on everything I've understood, Mary Herron completely flips this source material on its head and gives it a completely transparent view of just how just evil men can be, especially when they work in Wall Street in the 1980s. And yeah, I think that one performance that always sticks with me is Chloe Sevigny, who is the only character who cares about anyone other than themselves. I mean, even Reese Witherspoon, who I think many people forget in this movie, the scene where he breaks up with her and he's like, I think we need to start seeing other people. And she's like, but my friends are your friends and your friends are my friends. And he's like, you can have them. And she's like, oh my God, you're serious. Like, I just think it's so disturbingly brilliant and hilarious. And yeah, it's a film that I loved when I was in high school, but didn't fully grasp exactly why I loved it. And I think the older I've gotten, the more I appreciate even just the small nuances here and there, and even just the slyness of its humor. And it ultimately leaves you feeling pretty icky, but in a way that is good. In a way that you should be left icky. And I agree with you, Bride. And the fact that all the violence is off screen or left to the imagination only makes the impact of it that much more visceral and that much more I don't want to say tasteful because that's not the right word, but you know what I mean. I think it makes it more I don't even want to say palatable. I think it's one of the few movies that I can think of that he actually remembers how your imagination is so much worse than what you can see on screen, and it actually plays in part to it could all be in his head anyway. So yeah. But again, like you said, doesn't matter. The great thing is by the end of the movie, it doesn't matter because what he's saying is absolutely true. If he wanted to get away with it, he could. Doesn't matter if it's all in his head or if he did it, doesn't mean anything. So
yeah, and I think you're right about so the tastefulness is maybe I'm not critiquing that word choice, but I think you're onto something about how like it doesn't in critiquing sort of the misogynistic violence of these characters, it doesn't like ever like it doesn't run the risk of ever indulging or like sort of sensationalizing that that violence by showing it in graphic detail. It doesn't like dilute that because it doesn't ever dilute its main point.
Which is not to say that can't be done. I have a movie coming up that is far and away more graphically violent than what we're just talking about. But in terms of what it's aiming for, in terms of getting to the core of its themes, I think it is very it's pretty ingenious with this subject matter.
Yeah. And also just your point about Bret Easton Ellis, I think of Everett's review of Rules of Attraction where he says like life is too short, I think, for me to ever want to read a Bret Easton Ellis book, but he did find like stuff to admire and like the adaptations. And I'm like, yeah, I'm good. I'm like, I don't feel the need to read the book of American Psycho, but I'm glad that like, you know what, it led to this movie being made.
Boy, howdy,
really
that book fucked up.
Yeah.
It's great, but yeah. I was just never remember halfway through being like, why was this so controversial and people were picketing it? And then right after I thought about it, a scene happens. I was like, oh, wow. You did that. Charlie, you said you're number 5, American Psycho.
Yeah.
Bryden.
My number 5 is Jesus the Son. Okay. And again, one of those movies where like it is you know, I think it's admirable like how it is able to find humanity even while acknowledging as characters fuck ups and their vices that like can ruin their lives and other people's lives. I think like, you know, the Michael Shannon cutaway bit where he's like, you know, after he's like shown beating someone up while high, like it cuts to him like playing the piano and being very serene and showing like what this guy could be when if he wasn't like, you know, in the clutches of this addiction. But also it does have like these very darkly comedic episodes, like the with the guy who is like trying to like get help for the knife in his eye, and Jack Black being very laissez-faire about it to an alarming degree. And some of the best voiceover narration that I can think of in a movie I've seen recently. I mean, just the way that it is, you understand it, and it feels like germane to the whole thing, where like it is this guy who's just sort of like, you know, jumping around to time because that's like just how his life works, where he can't quite remember what day it is, and also the way he just sort of spaces out in the middle of the narration where he's like, and I was going this place because it's not I'm misremembering my memory a little bit, but like we talk about like state property, how like some of the there's like these long pauses, they're just kind of inexplicable. The narration is like, damn, I didn't think it'd be like this or anything, and it doesn't feel like there's any real reason for the pause to be there. Whereas here it's like, well, yeah, he's fucked up, or like he's coming off a high and everything while he's like, you know, giving this narration and Jesus' son, and it totally works. And you know, Cronut I think like does find the heart of his character. Even though like you know, he could run the risk of just being sort of like a surrogate, sort of an audience surrogate of just like going through this crazy world of all these eccentric characters. But no, it's a really good movie, and again, like one of those ones that's underseen. I think at the time that we covered it, it wasn't on streaming. It wasn't. I don't think it was on streaming at the time that I saw it, but I think now, if I'm not mistaken, it's on Hoopla in Canada for anyone who wants to watch it. So I would highly recommend that. Very, very good stuff. Kevin, what are you laughing at?
There's some mischief behind that grin there. We can't hear you.
My number 4 is Dogma. Go to hell. Charlie, you're number 4.
That's all you have to say?
Yeah, it's great shit.
I do love Damon and Affleck in that. They're very
they're great. Together. They're great. I have no problem with the cast, except I mean, I like Linda Fiorentino in other movies, but
like Jade.
I'll take her in Jade over this.
I like Jade better than Dogma. I'll give you that.
I like The Last Seduction more than I like Dogma. Apart from that deeply upsetting, problematic ending that I will not spoil. My number 4 is, and I feel like my top 5, forgot to mention this, my top 5, all 4.5 stars. If you were to swap these around, I probably wouldn't care. My number 4 is Affliction, which is hilarious. No, it's definitely one of the more bleak, I'd say, out of my top. No. Okay, Jesus Christ. It's one of the most bleak movies we'll probably ever cover for this podcast ever. Just as a heads up. I was about
to say, you still have Dogma to talk about.
Well, I corrected myself, but this is one of Paul Schrader, another filmmaker who's very divisive, controversial on social media, probably says some things he shouldn't. Definitely says some things he shouldn't, but I do love his films, and this is up there with me as probably this and First Reformed are probably my favorites. I'd say First Reformed and then this one. I do love Blue Collar and Comfort of Strangers and Mishima as well. I mean, I love all of his movies, and I think that this was he adapted this novel by Russell Banks I have not read, but he also did The Sweet Hereafter, which is another very tragic story set in snowy New England. Is Sweet Hereafter set in Canada, actually? Either way,
it is. Everyone sounds super Canadian.
It looks like it takes place in that very sad.
There was a bus accident. I must go back to my house. So yeah, it's Canada.
Yeah. But Nick Nolte. I mean, we had Michelle O'Connell on for this episode. It's one of her favorite Schrader films, and she was wonderful to have. And she's also a big Nick Nolte stan. This is probably my favorite Nick Nolte performance. James Coburn. I mean, it even has the hurdle of who can you cast someone as that's even scarier than Nick Nolte, and you have James Coburn, who won a fucking Oscar, and deservedly so, as his terrifying, abusive, alcoholic father. I think this in terms of what this film's saying about abuse, about alcoholism, about trauma, how it's cyclical, how, you know, this deep sadness and pain is just not going away for this man, and how it, you know, ends up destroying everything around him. It's not fun. It's very upsetting, but my God, this film fucking destroys me. And there's a scene where something is set on fire at the end that is just like permanently seared into my brain. And I love this movie. It's not one that that I revisit often, but I find it incredibly powerful filmmaking.
Yeah, that's my number 4 too.
Oh hell yeah!
Sorry, Kevin. I didn't mean to cut you off. I was just gonna jump right in with my
no, please.
It is a, even just like, I was listening to the score the other day by Michael Brook for Reflection, and it's a really good score, but it just makes it, it's like, oh, I got a bad feeling now just like listening to this score. Like it does start out very tender, where it's like this sort of like gentle guitar and everything, but then there's like this feedback that is sort of like rising up as it goes on. It's like sort of like thumping noises and everything, and it's just like showing like the unease that is rising throughout the movie. And of course, like it's already there at the start, because you know that this guy's just like, he ends up hitting rock bottom at the end, or even worse than rock bottom, you could say. Yeah, and it's really sad too when you consider it in comparison with like other Paul Schrader movies, where it is but these guys who are conflicted with violence and turmoil over the things that they've done, and wondering if they can ever recover from them. And you know, you have movies like The Card Counter and First Reformed and Light Sleeper, and like, you know, where it's like guys.
Oh, Light Sleeper's so good. Can't believe
that's like an all-timer for me. That's
a great movie.
Love that movie. You know, a movie like The Card Counter, which is like about a war criminal, later in the movie's like saying like, well, can this guy be forgiven? And then the ending, somehow finding hope. Whereas Affliction is like, well, no matter how hard this guy tries, like,
well,
like
all that matters is he tried. Yeah.
Yeah.
The text card at the end. Well, he tried. ...
Nevertheless, well,
that's actually what Willem Dafoe says at the end of the movie. Well, you know, he tried. Yeah.
Yeah, and Nolte, I mean, just is like a force of fucking nature. I mean, the line reading of his life, it's not just like the line reading. I mean, his voice is so distinctive and everything. It's one of those things where, like, even though I can't always understand, I just watched this Neil Jordan movie. He was in The Good Thief, and I like maybe understood, like, there's like maybe 30% of his dialogue that I didn't understand because it is like so raspy. But like, it's like one of those things I think Ebert sometimes says with like certain actors, is like, it's not necessarily the lyrics matter, but the music and everything. And like, that's like Nolte, the emotion comes through. But like, it's not just like the line reading, but also like what he does with his body. Like when he's like has the toothache and like he's like clutching his head and his cheek, and he's like got his head tilted. He's like rocking with his, just like, that's my tooth, that's my gosh damn tooth. I can't even think anymore because of it. And it's like this anguishing, like horrifying moment, especially when he does afterwards. But like, it is like a thing where it's just like, it's such a demented choice and everything to like, it's just like throwing himself into the fury of this character, and it's really like impactful. Yeah, everyone else is great, and like you said, Charlie, the sense of place that's like conjured in this is where it is like this very chilly small town, and like you do get the sense that it is like there is like this sense of unease and harshness, but then like and there is like occasionally like the sense of warmth that comes through in like some of those interior like quiet scenes and everything, like the scenes opposite Nolte and Spacek, or with Nolte and Spacek.
So good.
Yeah. Oh, their relationship makes me so sad, just like how it ends. Oh, it breaks my heart. Yeah, no, and definitely you get that sort of that same sort of sense of atmosphere in This Week Hereafter, which I looked up just to clarify. It is set in the fictional town of Sam Dent, British Columbia, which is in Canada. So, well, not Sam Dent, but British Columbia.
It's an Nagoyan film. As soon as I said that, because yeah, Affliction takes place in New Hampshire though, and I've been in New Hampshire during the winter, and it feels that isolated and beautiful, but also that feels like it's your entire world. Just that type of
You're like, God, it makes me want to kill an old man in the woods. This place. I
was very disappointed when I saw that foreign poster where it like it looks like James Coburn is hunting Nick Nolte in the woods. Where was that movie?
I thought this was Surviving the Game. What's going on? My number 3, which we are on to I have no 4.5 stars. I only have 4 stars and 5 stars. We're now on to my
Wow.
5 stars. I have 3 5 stars, 3 fucking all-timer bangers. My number 3 is Tape. This is maybe my favorite Linklater, if not that
Wow.
before trilogy. But everybody's fucking favorite Linklater is the trilogy, so I'm gonna be a hipster and say Tape is my favorite. This is my shit. I remember being blown away by this the first time and rewatching it. It's still just so damn good. Just 3 people acting on DV, and it's fantastic. There's nothing for me not to enjoy here. Charlie, you're number 3.
My number 3 is The Devil's Rejects. 'Cause
Wow.
I am a sicko. I can't deny that I have seen this movie a ton, especially as a teenager. But I mean, I have to be honest and say I think this was kind of, even though this was a film that was made in 2005, directed by Rob Zombie, it was kind of a gateway into like the grindhouse genre that he pays homage to so lovingly. And it's a film that I find to be utterly sickeningly entertaining pretty much from start to finish, which is not to say that I find it easy to watch. There are certain scenes that are grueling and horrifying and disgusting. I mean, I feel like I'm Roger Ebert right now, where he's like, I don't want anyone on our show watching us saying we gave it 2 thumbs up and they went to see it. It wasn't disgusting. It's a sick film. It's fucked up. But I have a book, Kevin, I know you're familiar with it too, Torture Porn in the Wake of 9/11, that was also making me think about torture porn in general. Read certain passages of it, and they bring up a very good point about how Rob Zombie aligns the killing spree of these serial killers with a sheriff, and you should be wanting the sheriff to catch up with them and give them their comeuppance. And then by the time they do, it's like you feel just as awful, if not more so, because you're like, wait, where's the catharsis here? And it's like, oh no, I feel awful. But I mean, as you two mentioned before, I think the performances are demented in the best possible way. I think the Southern Rock soundtrack that is just so perfectly captures the mood and vibe of it. The character actors that show up in this thing, E.G. Daily, for example, is just one of them. I might be a sick puppy, but I love this movie. Can't deny I get a lot out of this thing. I think it's one of the best horror movies of the 21st century. And I will end it there.
I just switched Tape from number 3 to number 2. So after Brian gives his number 3, I will give
Cheater.
my new number 3.
Cheater. You can't
Brian,
do that.
I just did. Brian, what's your number 3?
One thing I will say about Devil's Rejects that's funny is just when we did our episode on it, I'm always curious about like what the trailers are like for the movies that we cover, and I think like the actual trailer is just basically 90% screaming.
Yeah,
sounds like gunshots,
or it's just
crashing.
Sheriff Wydell being like, "We will come in there. We're gonna do it," and then that's it.
Oh my god, the way he films that action scene at the beginning, where it's like it's just so.
Or there's the other trailer where it's just the housekeeping coming into the hotel, and then that's it. Which, yeah, if you see that, if you're into that, you're gonna like the movie. If you ain't into that, you ain't gonna like this shit.
Also, this movie's very,
fucking
very darkly funny. There's an entire scene where a Marx Brothers guy comes in. He's obsessed with Groucho Marx, and then just starts causing shit and starts talking shit about Elvis dying 3 days after Groucho. And yeah. It's got a sick moral compass, that movie, in terms of what it's saying about the way we treat the way horror movie violence is depicted, though. Yeah.
Brian, you're number 3.
My number 3 is Mr. Death by Earl Morris.
Damn. Hell yeah.
It's a good movie. I
really like it. Yeah. It's interesting. This is going to seem like a weird comparison, but we talked earlier about like, well, is this movie like, dicey for like its perspective? We talked about that with Tape and everything. Its perspective, like perhaps like, an ill-suited perspective. And I think you could possibly see this like that in Mr. Death, where it's like, about a guy who like was affiliated with Holocaust deniers and everything. And like, was like helping put people on death row, which is like a a pretty morally icky thing, to put it lightly. And I think the movie is like exploring, and like the fact that the movie doesn't like interview people on death row, and like, it is following this guy who like seems to have this very fucked up moral compass. Speaking of which, I think the movie is very intentional in sort of exploring like sort of the gaps in like in terms of perspective are there to sort of like emphasize the emotional gap that exists in this guy and everything, who does not think about other human beings. He just like sort of like looks at it very, I mean, even though he's like a dumbass, it seems like when he's like going into like the chambers of like at Auschwitz and everything, and just like being like a complete fool. The movie is like showing he's like treating it like he's like taking the human element out of the equation and everything, and like sort of explore, and the movie's just sort of like staring at this guy like, what is your fucking problem? Like, and like I think it does like get like a lot of I think there is like a lot of power in that. And I also think and also in terms of perspective, there is like literally a moment in the movie where like you're watching like the footage of him and like in the chambers, and then like you hear a voice go like, stop, rewind that, and like you hear like and then like it's just perspective to like a guy who's like part of like I think like the Holocaust Memorial and everything, and who has like who like is very rightly offended by how this guy's like disrespecting his history and everything. And I think like the movie is like very aware of like what's the right perspective, when to like employ certain perspectives in telling this story, and also just like, and maybe and also like looking at this guy who is like sort of an enigma of like, and like maybe there's no real good explanation of why he behaves the way he is and everything, but it's like that guy's out there, and like he's there are probably a lot of people like him, and it's also just like, again, the banality of evil, where like, Charlie, like I mean, when we talk about it, like he's like, oh, this guy says he's from Boston. Charlie, you ever met him and everything? And you're like, you know what? He probably is like out there walking around, like still.
He probably is.
And it's scary that like, a guy who's just sort of like a dork who like just drinks a lot of coffee and everything is just responsible for like killing people. It's like, yeah, no, it's a really fascinating movie about a totally inscrutable person. Yeah.
Can I just say before we go forward, I figured out what both of your both of your two movies are that we haven't said yet, and I think I've predicted which two are going to be in what order for both of you. I think.
All right. Well, we could we'll say them, and then like you can reveal afterwards like what your guesses are, I guess.
Yeah. And I realize I'm like, oh, I am very much alone in my top two.
No, that's unique. I mean,
no.
Like when we were going through our bottom rankings, it was like
I'm feeling no sense of guilt. It's just funny to me. It's just interesting where I'm just like, oh wow, no, my top two were mentioned way earlier.
My number 3, which was previously my number 2 about 5 minutes ago, is American Psycho.
Shit. Okay. That was not what I predicted. Okay.
Yeah, exactly.
Jesus. Okay.
You better. You got any bets on me and Bryden? You better take them off the boards.
Okay. Well, then my prediction is
switch the rankings.
Okay. Well, now my prediction is that you both have the same number 1, and it's a good movie. I'll just
probably. I mean, I don't have anything unique to say about American Psycho other than kicks fucking ass. Yeah. Charlie, you're number 2.
My number 2 is Dogville.
Hell yeah.
I had not seen this movie since college, and it's just as good as I remembered it. And it's I feel like there's a pattern here of my another movie in my top 5 that's deeply upsetting and controversial and very provocative and gets to the heart of human ugliness. But my God, I think this film is even more prescient to where we are as a society than when it was made in 2003. And to be fair, I was like, 12 in 2003 and was barely paying attention to the world around me, but was probably seeing Return of the King for like the 3rd time. But like, I love this movie. I know Lars von Trier, arguably he's a problematic figure. Very, if you like Bryden, if you don't want to go near his movies, it's not something you can recommend to people that you don't know very well, or even people you do know very well, where you're like, no, you got to spend your night watching this. But I think the way he uses the stage to make us complicit in just the utter lack of humanity that this town has for Nicole Kidman and for what she is representing as a whole, and is just so unbelievably compelling, powerful, upsetting, disturbingly cathartic, and also deeply even in that catharsis makes me feel rotten inside, but in a way that makes me feel honest with who I am as a human being and what I desire to see on film based on what certain things are. It very much is a movie in which it plays by movie rules and very much is about real issues, and the only way to do this weird balancing act of being heightened and also dealing with very real issues is to do it in this own idiosyncratic way that Lars von Trier only knows how to do. I know that probably sounded like a lot of word salad, but Lars von Trier always gets at my the man might be an asshole, but he always there's darker sides to being human that I don't always want to acknowledge, that he always manages to get at when I watch his movies, even with it, whether it be dark comedy or something truly grueling on screen. And I think that this film's kind of a masterpiece in its own twisted way. So I hope that didn't make it seem like I'm a bad person.
No. It's totally fine. It's funny. I think we made the joke about how like the ending sort of resists like being packaged into like the good for her sort of like satisfaction.
Oh, yeah.
I'm maybe it should be more accurately described as like good for her, bad for me. Like sort of. Like,
I mean, it's yeah. It's also like one of the few Lars von Trier movies where the protagonist technically gets what they want, because the rest of them are just really put through the ringer. And I think that in that response to, because he had Dancer in the Dark before this and Breaking the Waves before that, like, oh, okay, you want me to switch it up a little bit here? How about this? Like, no. Oh dear, oh god. Yeah. And I think my personal favorite's Melancholia, but I'd say this is just like a notch below. Like both, just films that are very dear to me in my own black little heart. So yeah.
Bryden, you're number 2.
My number 2, Shattered Glass, baby.
Yeah. Real Billy Ray head over here. Hell yeah.
Yeah, I saw Secret in Their Eyes in the theaters, bro.
That went to theaters. Wow.
Yes, saw that the same weekend. I think is fucking Hunger Games Mockingjay Part 2 and Night Before and Bats. Like, so it's just
bangers. Wow.
Also, is Jack just losing his mind that it's not number 1 right now? If he's still there, is Jack just like, that's it? Like,
the last thing Jack said is, I tried to see Barbie at the Coolidge and Affliction started playing. Weird.
That's pretty good. Imagine if it was Nick Nolte going, "You guys ever just think about dying?"
We've come back to Barbie Land and it looks like New Hampshire. What?
Come back to Barbie Land and there's just lines on the ground. Oh no! Yeah.
Oh no!
But yeah, Shattered Glass, or Breach, whatever you wanted to talk about.
Breach
one is much better than the other.
Breach is good. It has Chris Cooper.
It does have. That is a fact. It has Chris Cooper.
Yeah,
he is in that movie. It is.
Eric Cole did show up in this film. Yes.
Lauren Linney's there too. I think I haven't seen that movie since it was.
Yeah, she is.
Yeah. No, I think Ray, he's not like exactly the flashiest filmmaker, but I think like that sort of level of restraint helps. I think like he knows like that a simple camera move is like enough like to hold power. I mean, like the shot you talk about, like Skarsgård just has the lion's share of the best moments in the movie, but like the moment that sticks out to me is when he's realizing that like Glass is like fudged the numbers, and it's just like zooming in on him. That Michael Dana score is like quietly rising as he's just like realizing,
give him the numbers.
Fuck yeah, Steve. Give him the number and everything. He's just like blinking. He can't even like quite face him. And then I think I quoted it on the episode, but like, Zahn going like, "This guy's toast." Like, Zahn like has like some like very quotable lines too that like it just like stick with me it pop up in my head every now and then. But no, and I think it really does. Like, I mean, it is like thrilling in the way that like, these sort of procedural journalism movies should be and everything, where like it is like, I mean, especially because it is about like, the importance of like a lot of these journalism movies is like, following these guys as they get the facts and do the actual, like, sort of shoe leather of like reporting and everything. And what's interesting about this is like finding this guy, taking that procedural aspect to find out that this guy didn't do any of that procedural stuff. He made it all up and everything. It's like kind of interesting to take that sort of approach to this movie. And it is like it does become so emotionally involving that, like, when the first time I saw the movie, like when like he realizes that like the number, the Palo Alto number is like from like his brother in like from Glass's brother in college. I think the like the score is rising and the camera's like following Peter Sarsgaard, she's storming into the office to like confront Glass. It's just like it does like have this really dramatic, like it's as dramatic as like any thriller would be, because like the stakes in this story are made to feel so high. I mean, it's funny, I feel like some people have like said like maybe this story in retrospect is like doesn't maybe seem so consequential and everything, but like it is important to these characters and everything, the integrity of their jobs, and the movie makes you feel that with the performances and like the very subdued direction. It's a very strong movie. I really like it a lot. And yeah, Christensen, like, his blankness is like is a real his friendly blankness is sort of like an asset to making this character, to revealing this character's sort of lack of any principles and emotion, any genuine emotion. It's a very well calculated performance in the best way, where you can see
also,
and you can see the gears moving when he is like manipulating people, and sometimes like that is like, when you see the gears moving, that could be like used as like a critique of a performer, and here it's like you see when this guy is like trying to like move his face in a particular way or use a certain voice to like get sympathy from someone, like you see like just how craven it is, how vulgar it is. It's great.
He's also so baby-faced compared to the rest of the cast, which is something I didn't pick up on the last time I watched it. Just especially like he looks like a kid playing a grown-up, which is obviously all intentional and good. And because they're just like half the movie is kind of them being like, oh, isn't he adorable? And Peter Sarsgaard's like, no, like
This guy fucking sucks. Yeah.
yeah.
Look at this guy. This guy fucking sucks.
It's essentially the Grimes episode of The Simpsons.
Yep. Okay, Charlie.
That would be really funny though if Hayden Christensen showed up with a diorama at Mr. Burns' nuclear power plant.
I can fudge stories because my name is Stephen Glitz.
Yeah. This was a contest for children. Yeah, and Christensen beat their brains out. Way to go. Yeah. So if you two figured out that you both have the same number one at this point.
Yeah, it's Dogma. Charlie, you say your number one, and then me and Brian will talk about our number one.
Sounds good. My number one is Last Night, which I had some trouble picking what my number one was going to be, but ultimately I picked this one because A, I had not seen it, and it felt really revelatory for me watching it, and B, it made me cry like a lot. And it was part of the reason I picked it. The main reason I picked it as my number one was because part of the reason why we do this podcast is because we love talking about movies and we love talking to each other, but it's also really nice when you discover something that moves you so deeply, and that was why I picked this film. I'm also a sucker for films about last days on Earth, end of the world, what have you. Just thought of Maria Bamford going, no, I fear death. I fear the Reaper. I just watched Miracle Mile for the first time last night too, and that film got to me for not the exact same reasons, they're different, but in similar ways. And yeah, I've always loved Don McKellar as an actor. This was his first film I saw him direct. I think he's a great filmmaker. I love how every character is a little bit flawed and almost nobody ever interacts the way that you're expecting them to. I think Sandra Oh's performance is the heart of this film and just completely broke me during certain scenes. And I do think that to make a film about the end of the world and to have it not be about, special effects or, bombast, and to just have it be about what we as human beings would do in our last moments of life. I just found this whole thing very, very touching and, beautiful. And I had to go to work after watching this movie, and I was like not in a position where I wanted to like talk to anybody for a bit in a good way though. Like I really found this film to be an undiscovered gem. And Criterion, get on it. When's this coming out?
Or just
anybody. Yeah.
Yeah, it's weird. When I watched it, it was like I watched it through I think my school's library streaming service, and now even they don't have it. I don't think
That's
And it's not, like-
crazy. Why?
and it's just like, oh, what are you doing?
Before we talk about our number one, Jack has said, listen, if Kev can switch tape from 3 to 2, then Bryden can swap Shattered Glass to number 1. So I guess we'll think about that. Me and Bryden's number 1 is one of my all-time favorite movies. I fucking adore this movie. It is Buffalo 66. I cannot say enough great things about this movie. It's one of those, like, I'm seeing myself reflected here. I don't like it.
Oh dear.
Obviously not all the way, but also, God, this movie is so fucking funny. My God, it's so fucking
Very funny.
Do I look like I know how to drive this? I drive luxury cars. I drive cars that shift themselves. You know, Mercedes Benz. Ever heard of that? Like,
Fuck you and fuck your hot chocolate.
I'm just thinking about Angelica Houston, like people are talking to her and she's just watching the football game, just like
I think he's the most handsome man in the world. Who? Your son? Who? Wait, why?
And Gallo is just like sitting there on the edge of the frame, just like and like being practically pushed. And he's not being acknowledged. He's like on the edge of the frame, barely in the shot, and he's just like throws his hands up like in exasperation.
Yeah,
like, of course she's talking to me like this. He's so used to it. Yeah.
Yeah, it has some of my favorite uses of lighting ever. It has one of my favorite needle drops of all time. Part of the Sunrise, just incredible shit. I adore the way this movie looks. And like we talked about on the episode, it's just like, goddamn, independent movies used to actually, have an identity, for Christ's sakes.
Jesus Christ. Yeah.
But yeah, it's just like top tier, just like the type of shit that I like. It's just a character study. It's late 90s. It feels like you should watch this only at like a 2 a.m. screening with nobody else in the theater, and then go pass out afterwards. But yeah, it's fucking incredible. Just every scene is just, it's either incredibly sad, you feel for the guy, then you hate the guy, and then you relate to the guy, and then you're laughing at the guy, and then you feel bad for him again. It's just that for like 90 minutes straight. And yeah, I fucking, or no, it's almost 2 hours. I just always think
It doesn't
it's a
feel
lot
like
shorter.
it.
Kevin Corrigan as Goon is just fantastic. But yeah, Bryden.
Yeah, no, and like you're right that like you're constantly shifting how you feel about this guy because he is like so awful in other parts, but then like so pathetic that you're just like, oh fuck, dude, like come on, like you've taken such a beating in your life and everything, like
Yeah.
like it shouldn't be this bad for you, and like or the deck shouldn't be so stacked so thoroughly, but and I like how the ending is like it does provide him with like this solace. It is very genuine, and like really touching and everything, but like also like he is still kind of has this abrasive edge to him, and where he is like kind of aggressive. I mean, I just rewatched the other night the cookie shop scene, which is just incredible.
Hot chocolate,
I mean,
make it good. It's like he's pulling a lever. I don't know what you're talking about.
yeah, and like even when he gives like the money, he's like, "How much is it?" It's like $4. He's like, $4. He's like,
Come on,
okay.
come
And
on,
then,
come
like,
on, come on.
yeah, and he's like, he seems like almost annoyed that he has to pay $4, but then he gives it the tip and everything. It's just like it's so. It's like okay, so this guy is still the same person, but like he's like,
Oh, yeah.
maybe he will turn a corner and everything. It's like, and again, it's the thing Charlie said, like, Gallo's a piece of shit in real life, but like it's in the movie, it's like at least it's like, well, maybe there's hope for this character at least. You know, that's like the thing about fiction, I guess, is like he can hope for you can hope for a nice outcome, especially because you don't see what happens after. But yeah, and the performances too, like even like if his characters just pop up for like a scene or two, you get like the sense of history between them like so well. Like yeah, Michael Vincent is like the bowling alley manager who just like says like, oh yeah, you're my friend, I'm your friend and everything. Like so even though it seems like it's this very rehearsed sort of relationship, it's like it does provide this guy some sort of solace in his very lonely life, where he doesn't have much to be happy for. And you're right, the the lighting. I mean, just like in that club scene where it is like just like you can get the sense of the array of emotions and like the red and the blue and everything, where he is very anguished, but also very filled with rage towards this undeserved target and wants to kill this football player who fucked up a play, like years ago and everything. And he views as like the point that his life went to shit. It's like so unfair, but yeah, no, it's really, really good. And yeah, you just like I don't know what movies are there like this that are made now. I don't know. And also it's funny, we talked about like doing deep dives on directors. I did not watch The Brown Bunny, his research for that, and I feel like it's like am I like a fake fan for like
No,
for not really not being like
No.
I liked The Brown Bunny a lot, but
I will watch
I mean,
but
it's very, very good. I think so. But you don't feel great while you're watching it, especially because of
that's
that
maybe why I
controversial
didn't watch
scene.
it.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
Yeah. But no, yeah, it's a hell of a movie, and I do find myself like thinking about it, like even like a year later, like or almost a year later, goodness, that we talked about it, and like I could still remember like certain bits of it, like the spanning time and everything, which just feels like a malapropism where it's like, is he talking about
spanning time?
And like I do like stick by my belief. I think it's funnier and more poignant in a way where it's like, is he like mixing up like spending time with spanning time, and he just like he did that as a kid, he's just like going with that and everything. And the Rosanna Arquette scene too, where like
I was just thinking about Rosanna Arquette. Yeah.
Man.
where it's just like uncomfortably zooming in on them as like his whole fiction is like destroyed and everything. And also like when Christina Ricci says something, and like Rosanna Arquette's like, what? And then she's like, everything. Like, sort of like whispers it. It's just like sort of like very offhand, but this character just being like in utter despair and everything. It's like it's so well realized. Yeah, no, it's a great movie. I'm really glad I got to see it.
Yeah, because you also hadn't seen it until this pod, right? Yeah.
Very, very nice discovery for me. Discovery. This movie's very well known, but it's a nice.
No, I mean, I felt the same way.
Me. Yeah,
I felt the same way.
Yeah,
it was. I mean, I can't believe it's not in my top 5 now that you're thinking about it. No, I'm like, can it? No, it's yeah.
Okay.
It was in my. I think that's our clear winner in terms of like if we were making the scores of everything with your 2 votes and I edited number 6. I think that's Which also interesting because I think Kevin and I both had Blair Witch at number 1.
I was gonna say
time.
that. Yeah.
And then Bryden, you had the Limey, right?
I think. Yeah.
Hell yeah.
Yeah.
Just bangers.
Yeah.
You ever seen the Limey, folks? Check it out. It's good shit.
All right. So who won? Someone has to win.
Who
you know
wins
what?
The copy of Chelsea Walls on DVD.
Yeah,
you
you get-
damn
you get
well
all
I
of-
burned that shit alive.
So Chelsea
Oh.
Walls is our loser. Buffalo 66 is our winner. What's like the most medium, like 2-family house or something?
Yeah. You're like, should I check that out?
Sure.
When you have time. And even if you don't, it's okay.
Yeah, the director put it up for free on his website. Yeah.
Oh man. Okay, we did it. We ranked them all. It only took, I'm
Yay.
looking here, it is 3 a.m. Okay.
It took 2 hours
What?
and 42 minutes.
Yeah, last time in Dogville. Last time in Dogville.
Well, no, we didn't get started until probably like 7:30, so it's all good.
Okay.
Where would we be in Dogville if we were to end now?
Oh, no.
Would James Caan have shown up yet?
No.
I think he would have.
I think we were probably still in the montage where she's like a slave.
I wish someone had I know Winter Artisan Days, you Kevin, you did the edit of like the Billy Madison audio over the scene in Benedetta. Why has someone not done the we joked in the episode about James Caan rolling up in Dogville to Yeah by Usher? Someone please make that scene or that edit if you can to make it sound. And I was trying to think can I make the I was trying to fuck around the other night, like, can I make it sound like the audio is coming from the car? I'm like, I'm not experienced enough. I want it to be like sound like it's diegetic. Like it's 1930s in Dogville and he's listening to Usher.
We're also talking about Barbie lately, and I was just thinking about what would be amazing if Barbie's like, we have to do something about the Kens, and then James Caan just shows up, like, shoot them, burn down the town. To Usher.
Oh, brother.
Oh
Okay.
dear.
Bryden, what are these facts or questions you want to ask us about our miniseries?
Okay, so I'll maybe do the questions. I'll shift the order a little bit. I'll name some of the stats that I found. Now look, this is not the most comprehensive list. I mostly just was going off of actors that I recognize and that I sort of kept track of, like in checking Letterboxd. But I was curious about like, and there were a lot of actors who like appeared a couple of times in like movies. Like Frank Whaley's the narrator of Two Family House. He's also in Chelsea Walls. Ethan Hawke, of course, is in both Tape and Chelsea Walls. But I was curious about like who was in the Three Timers Club of like appearing in 3 different movies that we covered in this miniseries. And I thought that was interesting how it all shaked out. You have Carrie Elwes, who's in Shadow of the Vampire, The Cat's Meow, and Saw.
Mhm.
You
Okay.
have Chloe Sevigny in American Psycho, Dogville,
yeah.
and Shattered Glass.
Hell
Honestly, nothing but heat. Like that's an incredible
Yeah,
set
that's
of movies. To
yeah,
be
she
in.
wins. She wins.
Yeah.
yeah.
Well, wait, hold on. Josh Lucas, Wonderland, Weight of Water, American Psycho. I think that's maybe a winner. No, I'm joking. American Psycho is the
That's
one,
like getting
but,
punched in the face with both fists and then getting handed an ice pack. Like,
Or a lollipop. Yeah.
thanks,
Like,
I guess. All right.
and Willem Dafoe in Affliction, American Psycho, and Shadow of the Vampire. Now, I don't love Shadow of the Vampire as much as those first 2 movies, but it is, like I said, what I was saying, is Willem Dafoe ever bad? I mean, maybe look, I have not seen every Willem Dafoe movie, but that is like an incredible range of performances. Like he's doing something different in every single movie where he's like very subdued and like kind of like looking and feeling powerless in Affliction. American Psycho, he's kind of like got like this wry inscrutable quality where you're like, does this guy think Bateman's guilty, or is he just like completely, and he's like playing him like trying to like ease him in, or is he just like a complete dumbass and everything? And then Shadow of the Vampire, he is like this very ghoulish character, but like then also there is like this kind of weird sensitivity to it where like he is like very bashful when like dealing with like the leading lady of this horror movies, but also he's a vampire who wants to suck her blood and everything. Like the way he's able to oscillate between those 2 different emotional tenors is very, very impressive. And it just shows, I mean, you could watch those 3 movies and be like, that's like one of our best working actors. Like, my goodness, it's great. But yeah. And Carrie Elwes, I will say, Shadow of the Vampire and Saw, maybe those performances are a little shaky, especially because like, he's doing American accents and an American accent and Saw, but Cat's Meow, I think he's wonderful. In,
He's
the way
is definitely the best of those 3 is in Cat's Meow for sure.
Yeah.
Michael Moore wasn't in the Three Timers Club. He didn't show
No.
up.
So close.
If only we done. Well,
If we did
actually, no,
lucky
even if-
numbers for intermission, that would count.
he would be in 2. Yeah. And then I also had a list of artists whose songs appear in more than one film. I of course made I think you tweeted it on our social media account the playlist I made of the various songs and pieces of score that play in the artisan Lionsgate movies that we covered. Now of course I cherry pick the songs, so like I'm the weirdo who didn't put Hip to Be Square in America's from America's Psycho on the list, but had In Too Deep by Genesis.
Okay.
I cherry picked it to songs that I like, which is why I asked you guys. And by the way, feel free to add to the. I can consult with you later about like if there are any songs.
I'll give you my playlist that is 2 hours of Hip to Be Square on repeat.
It's just the
Hip to Be
Bully
Square on
soundtrack.
repeat.
No, it's that John Mulaney bit where after 8 times of Hip to Be Square, somebody just goes, God damn it.
But I was curious about artists whose songs appear in more than one film. I wasn't going to do like, artists whose songs appear, who have more than one song in the film because, they have movies like May, which has like 2 Breeders tracks in them. But I was curious about like, oh, like they're in more than one film. You have David Bowie with Something in the Air, American Psycho remix and American Psycho, and Young Americans at the end of Dogville. So 2 end credits tracks for David Bowie.
Wow.
Ramones, you have Now I Want to Stiff Some Glue and House of Thousand Corpses and Blitzkrieg Bop and Shattered Glass.
Okay.
I forgot
that.
Blitzkrieg Bop was in Shattered Glass.
Yeah.
Yeah. The Go-Go's, Lust for Love and The Rules for Traction. And that's I think in the scene where Shannon Sussman and Jessica Biel are doing Lines of Coke and
Vacation.
Vacation and Fahrenheit 9/11. Because do you get it? George Bush goes on vacation.
Oh, cool.
And Robert Palmer, Simply Irresistible in American Psycho. When Patrick Bateman's just riding in a limo with his girlfriend.
Bring it down the house, yeah.
And Spanish Moon in Wonderland, which we all remember.
Uh-huh. Okay.
And then
Wasn't
this is a
Vacation
special
also in
mention-
open water? Sorry.
God damn it. Did
Uh,
you put a Good Times Roll by the Cars?
yes, that's on the playlist.
All right.
Yeah, I love that song.
Yeah, that's the best shit ever.
And this is a special mention. They don't technically count because this song, one of these songs is not on Spotify. The Cure, Watching Me Fall Underdog remix plays over the end credits, I think, of American Psycho, but that version's not on Spotify, so it's not on the playlist. And Six Different Ways is also one of the Rules of Attraction. So it's funny that The Cure are in two Bret Easton Ellis adaptations that we covered.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, and you know, I mentioned like, and this is a funny little bit of esoteric. It's funny to think that Yassine Bey, you know, once known as Mos Def, appears on screen in two of the films we covered, Civil Brand and Monsters Ball, but also pops up on the soundtrack of another film that we covered, which has the song Astronomy, Eighth Light by his and Talib Kweli's rap duo Black Star.
Yeah. Wow.
Now, some questions. I'm curious about what your guys' guesses are.
Okay.
What do you think, according to Letterboxd, is the highest rated Lionsgate film that we covered?
Okay, let me look at the list. Let me get a
Yeah,
form.
I'm torn between two.
I think I'm going to say it is Dogville.
Okay. Charlie, what's your guess?
I was gonna Dogville. It's either Dogville or Morris Perros, and I can't. You know what? Just to make it interesting, I'll guess a Morris Perros.
Well, you win. It's a Morris Perros at 4.1.
I was gonna say Dogville or American Psycho. Wow. Okay.
American Psycho is that is the 5th highest rated one. It has an average of 3.9.
Dogma is number 2, but what's number 3? Oh wait, that was just me logging it over.
Oh well, wait. Actually, I mean, my next trivia. I hope you guys aren't. If you guys don't look at it, it's so hard.
I looked at one movie.
I'm not looking at nothing.
Well, do you want to guess what the lowest rated is? This was what I was going to ask next.
Okay. I'm going to say State Property without thinking.
Okay.
And I was torn between my bottom two. I'm going to say Chelsea Walls without thinking.
You are unfortunately both wrong. It is Catherine Bigelow's The Weight of Water. And a 2.6. Now, even as someone who doesn't like that movie, that seems a little fucked up, especially given that State Property is at a 2.9. It's on the threshold of being a 3. That doesn't make sense.
Yeah, that's wild.
Does their average go by, because like only 766 people have log State Property, so I think like if it didn't they revise their thing like right around the time that Spider-Man Spider-Verse 2 came out, that like it has to be reviewed for something like that, because boy howdy, there's just no way.
Yeah.
Same thing with Chelsea Walls, because that is at 3.0.
Oh wow.
With 700 logs.
Kevin would have beat me there.
More people watch that movie so you can bring those numbers down. No, I'm joking. Don't do that. Like, give every movie a fair shake. That's my genuine belief. But
yes, but
goodness.
give Chelsea Walls your fair shake, like way down the line. You got some other stuff to watch.
Do you want to guess now? This is not a thing where like I'm gonna ask you guys to like guess what the numbers are, but do you know what the most popular movie on Letterboxd is
American Psycho.
for the movies we covered? Yeah, I mean, 2 million logs.
I was gonna guess Saw after that, but
yeah, you know what? I would have thought something like that too, especially because of all those fucking sequels and because the new one's coming out soon. That is where the fuck is that in the rankings? It's number 2. Okay, so it's pretty close. Okay. And then the least popular. Do you know what the least popular movie is? And popularity is kind of hard to gauge on Letterboxd. I'm not entirely sure what the criteria is.
Slipping Down Life.
Yeah, I was gonna say Civil. You know what? Just to make things again, I was gonna say Civil Brand. I think it might be Slipping Down Life, but I'm gonna go with Civil Brand.
I think it might be also Eyes of Tammy Faye though.
It is Civil Brand. Which has been logged by 178 people.
Slipping Down Life's got 313. Damn, we were three of them fuckers.
I also
I don't even think Megan logged it on Letterboxd, which, you know what, good for her.
And also
check.
It's funny.
No, she
you
did.
know-
She did.
Okay. Okay.
Yeah, but I could only see that because it's literally 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 people I follow logged it, and it's just on a watch list for 4 people I follow. So yeah, not
Who are
even
those
a
4
clear
people?
through line.
Let's talk to them. Let's get them in the chat. No, we can get those numbers down. Hold
I
on.
don't even think that movie's the worst thing I've covered. I mean, I think I had it. Did I have it higher than everybody?
Are we talking about
You-
Slipping Down Life?
You both
Yeah.
had it at 3 stars. I had it at 1.5 which is being generous. My sanity was slipping down my fucking yeah. Boy, hour and 50 minutes. Clea Duvall is a nurse for 5 seconds.
Oh yeah, I forgot about that.
If I was gay, I would say you baited me. Clea Duvall's in this. Oh hell yeah! Wait, what the hell?
she
I
basically
blinked.
just she basically just shows up to be like, I'm a nurse, and then walks out of the room.
Now, if you excuse me, we're making, but I'm a cheerleader next door. Yeah.
Basically, I think it was. Didn't they come out the same year?
No, because remember, Slipping Down Life
Slipping
was
Down
like,
Life was 04.
Yeah.
Shot maybe at the same time.
But I think they were shot at the same time. I think they were both 99.
yeah.
I think.
That's always just the best sign when something is like, oh, when was this shot? When did it come out? And then it's
Slipping
been
Down
just-
Life, that was Sundance 99, I think, but I'm a cheerleader was also Sundance 99.
99, I think.
Let me double check. This is interesting to us and us only. Let me see. It didn't even go. Well, no, that's awards. My bad. I love looking at awards at one. It's just like, oh, anybody can just make these. Where are the goddamn IMDb is so complicated? Why am I so old? No, it went to Toronto in 99.
Yeah.
It went to Sundance in 2000. Okay.
And next year at next year's TIFF, they'll have a 25th anniversary screening of A Slipping Down Life.
Sure.
We need to stop
sure.
picking on this poor thing.
Yeah, I really should. But
Why are you
yeah.
guys bullying this? It's not that bad. It's not that good. Hey, but it's not that bad. It's like that scene in Welcome to the Dollhouse where that kid's getting bullied and Dawn Wiener. She's like, hey, leave him alone. And even he's just like, get away from me, you freak.
Yeah.
It's like even the kid getting bullied doesn't like her.
Oh god, that movie's so mean. It's so good.
Mhm.
I need to see that one.
I ordered my
I've never
Blu-ray
seen
of that
this.
like 3 months ago, and it's still not going to be
What?
here until like October.
I forget. I know you've seen it, Kevin. Have you seen Happiness, Bryden? The movie's even
I've-
meaner.
I've never seen a Todd Solondz movie. That is a
All right.
directorial.
Well, for the next 2.5
work to-
hours, I'm going to screen share. That movie is 2.5 hours long.
I love that movie.
It's great shit, but
That's
boy,
like-
howdy.
I think that and like Thin Red Line are like neck and neck for my favorite movie of 1998.
I thought you were just going to say for your favorite 2.5 hour long movie, but yeah, I guess it is.
Oh
right
no,
there.
no, don't go that. I mean, they're up there, but
Happiness is in the 3rd row of most popular 98 movies, right next to Wedding Singer and Meet Joe Black. First of all,
Really?
Dan Mecca is bumping those numbers from Meet Joe Black. How have 179,000 people logged to Meet Joe Black?
I've seen one scene from Meet Joe Black multiple times. And
Yeah,
it
you
doesn't
can't
get
log a
old.
GIF. Like you can't log a GIF. What's going on here?
It was all those people that went to see it in '99 to see what the Phantom Menace teaser or whatever, and being like,
Yeah.
"Oh shit, yeah,
Yeah.
I did go see that for that." You know, all right, I'll log it.
Did you like it? I don't know.
You remember it? No, I mean not really.
The entire time he was getting hit by that car, I was thinking about Darth Maul. Yeah. Okay. Is that all the fun stuff you got?
Yeah,
Brian?
those were the stats. I don't know. I just those were
Alright.
fun to share.
Yeah, I was gonna do that, and I was just like, my brain doesn't work that way, so I'm sorry.
fine.
Okay. Now we have a playlist of trailers for movies that we did not cover. I got them in chronological order, ending with just the best one. Okay. So this one, let me screen share here.
And all of these we'll do on our Patreon someday, right? That's the deal.
After you watch most of these trailers, you will wish that was no, just no. Let's see. Share audio. Okay. Okay. So for the first one, this is actually not an actual trailer. but this was like the first one I saw on the list of Lionsgate that we did not cover, and I was watching this clip and I was like, why didn't we cover this? And then I was like, oh yeah, what the hell would we pair this with? But this is directed by, I believe his name is
Spam flicks? No.
this is Bill Plimpton directed this, who's an animator, and then I went down a fucking rabbit hole of this guy because he has 94 things on Letterboxd. Like 5 of them are movies, but all the rest are just animated shorts from the late 80s, early 90s. Just supremely weird ass style this man has. But here's a preview of I Married a Strange Person from 1998, I do believe.
Oh, hello, darling.
sweetie.
Come in,
Oh,
sweetie.
Mother, Grant is not the same man I married.
This is like animated Eraserhead, basically.
Your father and I never approved of Grant. You could do better.
Does this look good this way, or should I do that? Does that look better?
Yeah, that looks good.
Okay.
Ooh.
Mother, some very strange things have been happening.
You know, men, they have certain needs.
No, I mean really bizarre things.
Oh, it's gotten that far?
Is that like SpongeBob? Like you could like
That's what I was gonna
Just
say.
thinking that. That does look actually pretty good, though. I
Yeah.
have to check that out. Yeah.
that
Yeah.
looks yeah.
Because he has that. He has the Tune from 1992, and then yeah, just a lot of commercials and a lot of 90s shorts that I was just like, all right, I'll download them all.
Yeah.
And the stuff that I've watched, yeah, it's just supremely weird shit. But okay, the next one is The Alarmist from 1998, starring David Arquette.
Hello, I'm with Gregor Security. May I come in? There's a burglary in this country every 10 seconds. It's a frightening statistic. But the thing is, you want to live your life without all this terror. I'm sure your husband would agree with me.
If he were here today.
I'm so sorry.
No, he's not dead. He's just not here today.
No.
Now, of course,
Hilarious.
hypothetically, one could, if one knew the wiring schematics, break in.
So you'd actually be doing what you're trying to convince these people they can prevent.
There would be a pleasing symmetry to it.
Well, I think I have a lot to learn, sir.
You don't have to sell fear. It sells itself.
Well, I have to admit, I feel terribly vulnerable here.
We're the cutting edge in home security. I'm sure your husband would agree with me.
Tommy, you porking this broad or what? He's good.
Did you miss me?
Yeah, what are you doing?
Tommy's a good boy.
Tommy's wonderful. Howard.
Hi, Mom. I was just gonna grab a snack. So break-ins increase sales.
No, not break-ins. Incidents.
That is very strange. And I noticed that she's getting pretty worked up. And she says, okay, just the head. This is reality.
Not the last time Ryan Reynolds will show up in this place.
And she starts,
Thank you for sparing us.
don't.
No, I'm saying he's showing up again. Don't worry.
No, I know, but we didn't have to watch all of the whole movie.
Oh yeah, no.
Oh, God, this is not going very well.
Stanley Tucci,
Hypothetically.
Mary McCormick, and Kate Capshaw.
What do you have to do to get some air in here?
Oh my god, that is Kate Capshaw.
No sale here, Mr. Security.
The Alarmist.
I was a snowflake once. I can believe that.
Yeah, it looks terrible. I'll watch it. Okay.
I have to take a bathroom break real quick, but I'll be right back. You can
Okay, yeah.
keep going if you
Yeah. You sure you don't want to be here for Blood, Guts, Bullets, and Octane from
Okay.
1998?
I can hold it for a sec.
Yeah.
People like you, buyers, who come onto this lot with expectations and with fears, and with this belief that all salespeople are basically con men.
I saw you and I knew this was on this. Your name's on this. No. Where are you going?
So you talk to friends and family and they tell you, hey, go in there, you gotta be concerned. These bastards ever consider the concept of a grace period? You understand me?
We're going down, all right?
I say we get liquid. You understand what I'm saying? Cash in hand, shed the overhead, and bury this whole place.
The car is worth to you $250,000. No strings attached.
It's a very important car, gentlemen. It's a 1963 Burgundy Pontiac Le Mans. It will be under surveillance for the rest of its stay. Any attempt on your part to start the car after
Every
it's
guy in this
stopped,
trailer looks like Bill Burr.
you don't fuck with the car, gentlemen, and the car don't fuck with you.
Listen, Bob, think about it. No tags, no title, no bill of sale.
What are you saying?
It's Bob. I'm suggesting. I'm offering a suggestion.
You're suggesting what?
We take the car.
The Le Mans?
Take it, lift it, steal it, hijack it.
What? What purpose?
Ransom it back.
Ransom it back.
Come here.
We made a deal.
Want to get it, you must take it. Now.
I'm now just praying to watch The Alarmist now.
My man, Cash Money Man, Vernon. Yeah.
Oh my god, this music.
Yes, we have the car.
Okay, listen to me very carefully because the call is going dead in 10 seconds. $500,000.
Starring Chris Penn, Bill Burr, and somehow
listen to me.
Chris
$500,000
Penn again.
right now, or me and this guy take you down dead. You understand me? Right now. Get your buddy. I want to see him. Get him out of the car. Get him out of the fucking car right now. Bob, give me the money right now.
Yeah, that looks truly god awful.
Yeah,
Joe Carnahan.
Oh, it's Joe Carnahan. That makes sense. All right, I'll be right back.
I will go to the mat for the gray, which is good, but he has made some movies I do not like.
What else has he made?
He did that movie Cop Shop with Frank Grillo and Gerard Butler, which isn't very good. And he did the A-Team movie and Narc. Narc is okay.
I was about to say, I think he did Narc, which people seem to like. I haven't seen it.
Yeah, and then Smoking Aces, which I think you included on your garbage
hell
list.
Yeah, that movie sucks.
I was trying to remember when I talked to you last week about like what the DJ Shadow song was and what the trailers were, and it was Artifact is what it was called, where it's like kind of like a punk song. I was annoyed with myself that I couldn't remember because it's a kick-ass trailer, but yeah, the movie is not so good. I feel like when he's like trying to do this sort of like the smart alecky dark comedy stuff, it's like kind of annoying. Whereas like, the Gray, which is like not really a laugh riot, where he is like just sort of like, going for like the gritty thrills of it all. I feel like that's like more his speed.
Right.
But yeah.
The next one is, sorry, go ahead.
No, I'm just curious with how some of these movies were some of these nixed, about how many of these were nixed because we just like didn't want to do them or thought like we didn't know how to like program them, or
really
like,
the only one so far is I Married a Strange Person. I was like, how do we even do this? And then I'm pretty sure a lot of these I watched like the first 10 seconds and I was like, this is painful to get through the first 10 seconds of the trailer.
Well, yeah, and I was also wondering too, because sometimes we do movies where it's like this was like direct to video and everything, like and I'm curious, like just like
I think
how did it apply to
all
some
of
them.
these went to theaters. The only one I can think is maybe Cube 2 didn't go to theaters, but
Did American Psycho 2 go to theaters?
I don't think so.
Okay.
Consulting the numbers. If it did, it went to exactly one theater. Domestic gross $0. So yeah, it did not. So
That would be funny if it was like $0, but wait, it went to 1,000 theaters
overseas. It's a huge hit. This is something called Jerry and Tom from I think 98 as well.
to say two things. One, Sandra has absolutely lovely hands. And two, that is one clean engine block. And I think you'd have to agree with me on both counts.
Where's that little switchy? Oh, well, you know your cars.
Here's a fucking idiot.
Two little words. Two huge little words.
What?
Grassy knoll.
Shut up and do it.
Sam Rockwell's fucking hair, my lord.
Finding a gun in my son's locker is very disturbing, I agree. Could be worse, but I agree. Should have gone with the Black & Decker.
Black and Decker can both come down here and suck my dick.
Because we love foreign cars.
You see that woman up there? See the way she's selling those punches? Now that's acting. They just found that Hinckley guy not guilty by reason of insanity.
Fuck that. You'd have to be insane not to shoot Reagan.
Gonna go through life with a couple of holes in his face instead of a nose?
They're gonna make him a new one.
Out of what? Plastic?
Out of a piece of his ass.
Christ.
You know any good jokes?
Not at the moment. No. I got one. This penguin walks into a bar.
Two huge little words.
I mean, I feel like that's like just setting itself up for failure, where it's like, you know any good jokes? No, not at the moment. I mean, I feel like that's just like a line that you could use in a bad review of the movie. Not to like judge a book by its trailer, but like, you know.
I mean, I can. That looks terrible.
It does look really bad. I mean, that's usually kind of thing I would like be looking through like an actor's profile on Letterboxd, being like, oh, look at this. It has all these people in it. Should I watch it? And then yeah.
What's the over under? What do you think? How many people have logged this?
800.
All right. What in the I'm on incognito mode. I'm getting ads. 700, pretty close.
Oh, I was over. Damn.
I'll be goddamned if it's not on Tubi. What are you talking about? Why does this have all of the top reviews are like 4 stars? You're not gonna convince me. Sal.
Oh, that guy's a really good
Holy
actor.
shit.
Canadian. Yeah, he's the dude from True Romance, like the movie.
Yeah. Holy
great
shit.
actor.
Wow. That's wild. Bleacher Bums and Clubland. I'm pretty sure Clubland I have fucking watch listed. What is next? Metroland with Christian Bale and Emily Watson.
Slowly. Is it the first time?
Huh?
Is it the first time?
No. I'm gonna stay in Paris. I'm gonna be an artist. I don't want a wife. I don't want bloody kids. I don't want responsibility. I don't need any of that. Just been thinking about the past a lot.
So what are you doing 10 years later, living a life from where you grew up, doing a job you despise?
You're ruined! For God's sake, stop apologizing. It's only Sunday lunch. He's not moving in. Is he?
Look what you've done with your life. No wonder you're bored.
We never go out together. We haven't been to a party in decades.
You always say you hate parties.
Don't you ever wonder what it'd be like to go to bed with another woman?
I want you to have affairs.
Is this a Red Band trailer?
Marriage. I'll still cook your dinner and do your washing and ironing. You were a fantastic lover.
Keep thinking to yourself, did I make the right choice? Or did you?
Chris? Is he okay?
Take us down, I dare you.
What are you doing here? What were you doing with Marion?
Well, let's just say Marion doesn't share some of your inhibitions.
Don't you see? He's jealous of you.
Tony's jealous of me.
Marion, would you still love me no matter what I did?
I do know what it is to be sexually bored.
Do you? Metroland isn't a place. It's a state of mind.
They said the same thing about
Good
Orange County.
Good lord.
Music by Mark Knopfler from Dire Straits also did the music for Local Hero, which is a great score. But
Well, I'm glad we didn't watch that because we basically just saw the whole movie anyway.
Yeah, good point.
Yeah, this prequel to Breaking the Wave sucks.
Oh God.
Christian Bale ends up in a hospital and shit.
And she says she doesn't know what it's like to be sexually bored.
I mean,
God.
Yeah, it would be a prequel, wouldn't it?
Just gonna turn my AC off for a second.
What happened to me? Why am I played by a different actor? Why is my voice so different?
Okay, what Lord Almighty, what is next? Friends and Lovers from 1999. A Baldwin has shown up. Okay, folks.
Wait, Friends and Lovers?
Yes.
Friends and Lovers?
That's probably misspelled. I don't.
Take one group of friends.
Take them.
Put them in one ski lodge.
Okay, boys with the boys in the first room, girls with the girls in the second.
Good. Perfect.
We came to ski.
For just one
I'm pretty sure Robert Downey Jr. has violent hair in this. Yep. There it is.
Oh my.
And nature does the rest.
Maybe you could fix me up with Ian. Score. Everybody's getting naked?
Yep.
Somebody could have lost an eye.
It's that flippin' guy.
He's from Europe. I mean, can't expect him to act like a normal American. Hans is teaching me how to meditate.
I believe the word is penetrate.
All you have to do is
That's
look
so
around the room
funny.
and pick.
Are you really a photographer?
Are you kidding me?
Celsius. You want this guy coming on to you? Is that it?
I need to tell you something. I can't do it in a car. Oh, forget it.
John, this is not a good thing. Open this door. We need to talk about this. Ian!
These aren't human beings.
No, I was about to say.
Stephen Baldwin, Danny
No,
Nucci,
no,
George Newbert,
no.
Allison Eastwood,
I don't know.
Claudia Schiffer,
Sure.
Suzanne Cryer,
All right.
Neil Barrett,
Stop it.
Leon,
Stop it.
and Robert Downey Jr.
Please stop it.
All right, that's it. It's my turn.
I've been working this for days. You blow this for me, I will bust a cap in your ass and I will go have a quiet lunch. Capiche?
In the comedy
That's not a joke.
He said capiche. That's
that
hilarious.
goes way beyond friendship.
I'd much rather watch that than The Lodge, though.
Oh God.
Gosh, that it's also funny too. We were talking about like Charlie, you were asking with the other movie Metroland. You're like, is this a Red Band trailer? And here it's like there's like it's that flipping guy. I'm thinking, oh,
Yeah,
it's a
yeah.
Green Band trailer.
That's a Green Man trailer.
And Robert Downey Jr. as Hans.
To take one of the most exploitative parts of The Lodge, though, that would be funny if in this movie they all start blowing their brains out, like as the movie goes on, and it's never explained why.
there
George
another
Haas,
scene where they're
is he
just watch-
somebody?
Who?
George Haas? Is that somebody?
Sounds
The
familiar.
director?
Is he in relation to Lucas?
Oh, we're looking.
And
No.
Robert Downey Jr.
No.
as Hans Moleman. Oh dear God.
No, this is the only thing he's done. 300.
I wonder why.
360 people have logged this. One of the top reviews is a quote from the movie. There's a whole great big beautiful world out there beyond the 5 inches of your penis. This is fucking Is it on
pretty sweaty.
Tubi? Wow.
It is on Tubi or not?
No, I don't know why.
Oh.
You have to rent it like a Neanderthal. Even George Haas would say, "Don't rent this movie." Like,
It also seems like the type of movie that is like renting isn't even an option. You have to buy it for like $4.
oh,
It's
you're like,
like,
get this off of my account.
No, you have to have this permanently in your library up until the internet just blows up or something.
Also,
Wow,
it's like,
my friend Dave on Spoiler Piece actually rated it.
oh God, Dave, what are you doing?
2.5 stars.
We don't have Stanley Tucci. We have Danny Nucci.
There's not even an average. There's not even an average on Letterboxd. It's just ratings.
Wow.
There's no average there.
Wow. Yeah, I didn't even notice that. The average
Also-
is, I mean, it would probably be what, like 2 stars.
Also, Alison Eastwood. It's not like I recognize her, but I wonder if this is like the only movies that she's in that's not like a Clint Eastwood movie.
There are no 5-star reviews for this, or no, there's one 5-star log. There's one 4.5.
Okay, we got to bump those numbers up. Also, this sounds like a mafia company. CEO Films presents. Yeah, sure. Be right back.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know. I think this Patreon idea of watching all these movies seems pretty enticing right now.
How much is in our Patreon bank?
Gosh. Yeah. I don't know. Of these movies, which is the one you'd most want to watch?
I had to duck out for a few minutes, so
yeah. What even fucking was the trailer?
I don't know.
I think I can't even remember.
I have no idea. They've all like left my brain immediately.
I think I do have Metroland watch listed because I was just like going through either Emily Watson or Christian Bale still on screen, being like, sure, why not?
See, that's the thing that I'm thinking of. Do I want to watch the ones with the big names or not? Do I want to watch the one where I don't nobody? Because if I watch ones with big names, that's extra depressing. But then also if I have nobody to identify with, although I guess this one you do have Robert Downey Jr. and Stephen fucking Baldwin, but
one of those is better than the other. But
yeah. Stephen Baldwin, of course.
My gosh.
Can you imagine? No, but that's extra depressing to me to think like, oh, Stephen Baldwin is in this thing. Me go there. Let's pick this for date night. How many dates do you think ended badly after this movie?
Oh my gosh. Well, I mean, again, this is the question I have for Kevin. Like when I was asking, like, how many of these movies actually did go to theaters? Like, were some of them like direct to video? Like American Psycho 2, I think was like straight to video. We were talking about like just a few moments ago, but like this, I'm curious to know like what's the number of theaters? Was it? I doubt it was wide release, but it was. Yeah. It'd be interesting to know, like, was this in more theaters than like some other famous movie that like barely got released or whatever, but it has like a much greater reputation or whatever. It's yeah.
Oh god, my brain just went to like, well, it was in more theaters than whatever was dumped on Netflix or Hulu, or like that's a sad state of affairs to think too. Like,
yeah.
Are we still live?
Yes, we are.
Oh yeah, I should look at the corner of my screen there. It does say we are.
Yeah. Oh, good. Yeah. No, I think so far though, I think you're right though that we were spared a lot of these movies.
Yeah.
Also, like it is just truly a matter of time. Like, if we had done like all the Lionsgate movies from 98 to 2005, we would still be doing this miniseries.
We would be trapped. Yeah, there would be no escape.
We would call the show almost major because we would it was like, well, we can't quite call it ourselves that anymore because we're just doing this now.
Yeah. Yeah, I don't know like any of these people are. I was going through Letterboxd and I was just like, who are these people
in this movie? Like the cast?
Yeah, I mean, I know some of them, but like,
yeah, like Danny Nucci, I think, is one of the guys on the submarine in Crimson Tide. I think he's the guy who's having the fight about like Silver Surfer in Crimson Tide. And George Newbern was like, he's the boyfriend.
Oh, Danny Nucci was in Titanic.
Yes. Oh, yeah. He's DiCaprio's friend. Yes, of course.
He's Fabrizio.
And he's also in The Rock. He's one of the guys like who goes in to like help like rescue the people from Alcatraz, but I guess like shot immediately. And George Newbern was in like the Father of the Bride remakes with like Steve Martin. He's like the boyfriend in that. He's also in Adventures of Babysitting. He didn't really become like a big guy. Maybe he was on TV, but like he's not known for many movies. And Claudia Schiffer's like a model, right? Like she's better known as a model, I think, than an actress.
Yes, I believe so.
David Rash, he's like a character actor. He's the guy, he's one of the CIA guys in Burn After Reading. He's like in the last scene where they're talking like, what did we learn, Palmer? You know, I don't fucking, you know, I don't know, sir. You know, he's Palmer, which is an incredible performance.
Oh yeah. God, such a funny movie. What a prescient movie that came out in 2008. Saw that thing in theaters with my parents.
I think that was my first Coens.
Wow.
Yeah, and there's one of those weird ones where like I'd heard like I feel like there's like people who don't like it. It's like this is too nasty. I'm like, that one's too nasty.
Too nasty. It was only a year after, maybe not even after, like a full year after No Country, which very strange that was the movie that people were like, I don't know if I like this one, and I was just like, but like I love No Country. Don't get me wrong, but I did go see it again with a friend who was like, I don't know, and I was like. But it falls in line with everything the Coens do so well.
Yeah. Oh my gosh. I mean, problematic as he is for his off-screen persona, Pitt is like incredible.
Oh, Pitt is incredible in that movie.
There was the prop that was going around where it was like best like facial reaction that is like burnt into your brain. And I think someone did say like Pitt's response before he sees Clooney finds him in the closet or when he finds him in the closet rather is like incredible. Just like it's such a funny choice to smile in that moment.
It's also like blink and you miss it type of thing. Like I remember seeing it in theaters and being like, whoa.
Yeah.
Did that just happen?
And then, of course, like Richard Jenkins is like maybe the one nice character in the movie.
I know.
Of course, gets horribly treated at the end of the movie.
I think that I went with a friend who was like, yeah, that was what bummed me out the most. I'm like, I get it, I do, but that's also the point. Oh, poor Richard Jenkins.
Yeah.
Weirdly, don't have that going on Blu-ray for whatever reason.
Yeah. I think I just have a regular old DVD of it.
Yeah.
That is one of the Coens I think I've seen. That's like one of the only Coens I've seen twice. That and like No Country for Old Men.
I mean, that makes sense. Their comedies are, I mean, yeah, it's definitely, I've seen No Country for Old Men and Fargo countless times, but I mean, yeah, Burn After Reading, Raising Arizona, like Hudsucker Proxy, those are definitely you'd probably be in the mood to watch those more than, say, No Country.
Yeah, Hudsucker I need to see still. I think I still have
Hudsucker's
access to
great.
School's library. Yeah, I've heard it's fantastic.
Jennifer Jason Leigh in that movie, iconic. So good. There's a clip of that going around on Twitter right now that's really great too.
Yeah. So wait, like, am I mistaken? Like, I know like the Coens are tight with Raimi. Is like, does he have like a co-writing credit on that or something, or was he just like? I feel bad that like I have the internet at my fingertips right now when I'm asking this.
Well, we're also live and don't want to close out. He does have a writing credit. Ethan Coen, Joel Coen, Sam Raimi. Yep.
All the more reason for me to see it. Yeah.
Yep.
You're talking about Crime Wave?
No,
Well,
we're
I do
talking
need
about
to see that.
Hudsucker Proxy, which is so good. Only gets better every time I watch it.
Yeah, I haven't seen that.
Oh, it's so good. Yeah,
Yeah,
first
we were
time I
just
watched
talking-
it, I was like, people didn't like this? Look at the damn thing.
I mean, that's again like the Burn After Reading thing. Like to find like people who are like, people find this too dark, like compared to like like even given all the other Coen movies that like are arguably darker or meaner. Like it's
I know.
so weird.
It's very weird. I think my hot Coen Brothers take is I like Oh Brother Where Art Thou fine. It's just not my favorite, but I know I'm in the minority there.
No, I'm just
That's
saying.
another one I did see.
No Country's my favorite. That or Fargo.
Yeah.
All right, what else do we got?
Barton
next?
Fink also up there. Love Barton Fink.
Need to see that too. My goodness, I'm just revealing all my gaps here.
We almost did this
Live.
I wanted to so much.
Wait, you wanted to watch this one?
Yeah, and then I think I watched the trailer and I was like, well,
How many women have you slept with?
Excuse me?
Oh, come on. It's not like you haven't counted them. How many?
Oh dear.
How many men have you slept with?
Not that many. 13.
13?
I'm just a symptom of my time. Just the victim.
What every woman wants out of life
is Jon
is a
Favreau.
little love.
Just say it.
I love you.
Horseface.
I love you, Horseface.
What every man wants out of life is a little sex.
You're like this incredibly juicy ham sandwich.
And never the two shall
What?
One more time, I'm gonna scream.
I feel like we're just turning into this old married couple.
Are you ending it?
It's not like we won't still be friends.
Are you out of your mind? Sure. Okay, break it up.
Well, you got any plans for dinner tonight? You know, after we make bail?
Jesus. Kate, this is my friend Peaches.
Violent facial hair on Favreau. Holy Lord.
I love you.
We've only known each other for 14 hours.
What's his last name?
Santino.
Joey Santino, the actor?
You talking to me?
I'll change. How does that sound? Death penalty. You're against it, I'm for it. I'm against it now. I haven't seen you in a while. I missed you.
Yeah, it's been a long time, huh?
Yeah.
That is the worst facial hair I've ever seen in my life.
Yeah, don't. You are.
Stop. Weirdos and creeps are single because they're weird and creepy, but people like us were victims of bad timing.
There's love.
I believe in relationships. Mine just happen to be short ones.
There's sex.
I am very proud of myself.
Now strip.
Strip?
Strip.
And who said you can't have both? Famke Jensen.
Who said?
Jon Favreau.
Yeah, who said that?
By Valerie Brayman.
Oh, it's the first time that was your first fart. Come here, baby.
Love and sex. You'll find them
You're disturbing
in
the video
romance
store.
section.
Yeah, don't leave the video store alone. If there's one theme that I'm noticing with all of these,
Sherry
it's
O'Terry's in this? Wow.
Oh my god. Just to quote Edith Massey in Female Trouble, the world of heterosexuals is a sick and boring life. That's
Also, the music choices. My goodness.
my god. Whatever happened to Famke Jensen?
Remember when she was in bed for the entirety of Don't Say a Word?
I never saw Don't Say a Word.
Oh man, that is garbage right there.
Oh yeah, she just cries a lot in Taken.
And she was in X-Men. Oh, to a certain point, she was in those movies.
Is Don't I do remember her in X-Men because that was my intro to her. But is Don't Say a Word fun in a bad way? Because I do know the whole
Sure.
I'll never tell.
Why not?
Tell. Yeah.
Check it out. Why not? I'm pretty sure it's like way too fucking long.
And she was also the English teacher in oh god, remember in The Faculty where they tried to make her all frumpy in the beginning, and it's like no,
Didn't she get her head chopped off in Faculty?
Yeah, and like tentacles kind of walk away with it. You never find out if she's okay by the end of that movie.
No, she's having a relationship with Josh Hart at the end of that movie. She's like watching him on like the bleachers while he plays football or whatever. He's like now like gone from outcast drug
I
dealer to
forgot about that.
star.
That's the way. So she's gonna get fired. It's ultimately where that story's going. No, look, everything's fine now.
Also, Kevin, really quickly, she's also in a movie that you and I love, Deep Rising.
Goddamn right she is.
Hell yeah.
Still need to see that.
Oh, so much fun.
And Orange County.
Both legitimate masterpieces. I mean, Deep Rising is like, what if Anaconda took place on a boat? And I'm just like, yeah, let's go. I'm checking to see how much Faculty is on Blu-ray, and our next trailer is Stardom for 2000. I actually really wanted to do this one.
I have. I think I do have the Faculty on Blu-ray.
You want to test this girl.
I'm always looking for beauty.
Right here, right now.
She was just this perfect young angel.
Talk about a Cinderella story, ladies and gentlemen. Stunning newcomer, Tina Menzel. Wow.
Beauty is about sex.
Ooh.
What the celebs forget is that there's always a camera.
What are you doing?
America Online
I don't
logged
think
over
celebs ever
500,000
forget
hits
that.
at an unauthorized website featuring supermodel Tina Menzel relaxing topless.
I love it.
You don't know how beautiful she is.
He was very passionate.
What's up with the Strange Days trailer colors?
I know.
Possible for you to live without a camera?
Supermodel Tina Menzel is at this moment in the emergency ward of Manhattan Central Hospital.
It's a friend! You hear me? I'm a friend!
It was fun. It was all fun until it was not fun.
Is it everything you hoped for?
There are no rules. You do what you can do.
That superficiality never killed anybody.
She slides in bed with you naked. You want to die.
Please don't talk to me about the sex of Dan Aykroyd.
I think I do have that watch. Yeah, and we could have done that because Paray is also in Lost and Delirious, of course.
Oh my god! It took me a second to realize that was Jessica Paray. Oh
yeah. And Denis Arcand. I'm a bad Canadian that like I know he's like a huge Quebecois art house director. I think Barbarian Invasions is the one that like won Best International Feature at the Oscars. It was one of those ones, but I'm a bad Canadian. That's a filmography I have yet to plunge into.
I haven't seen any of those films. I haven't seen Barbarian Invasions either.
Well, I know. I feel bad because I'm like, I'm like, it's like, oh, the Canadian director, you see? I'm like, no, I'm sorry.
Have you seen Crimes of the Future yet, Bryden?
No, I'm sorry. I did watch. I caught up with Existence. I think was the last one I caught up with. The most recent Cronenberg I caught up with, which is so much fun.
Did I win?
Defoe also great in that too. It's like I would have liked a little more of my character. He died a little too early.
Isn't the opening credits and Willem Dafoe as Gas? It's so good,
right?
Yeah,
and someone did share too, like on Twitter recently. I can't remember who it was, but I mean, I thought the joke was like funny right away. It's like the video game that you can buy in the world of the video game is like getting hit by a car.
Puts you in the driver's seat or something.
Yeah, what a great movie. I I have a few other Cronenbergs I still need to see, but that's like one of my favorites, and also like the one I find the funniest too.
Oh, it's hilarious. Yeah. Because a lot of people, I feel like people who like criticize that movie for not being about video games, I'm like, well, yeah, sure, but it's really about movies. It's really about movies.
Yeah, and I'm not like a gamer too, but like people are saying, like I've seen some people say like, no one would ever play this game, and I'm like, I don't know, man. Like, isn't like that game Death Stranding like a game where you walk with a baby in real time, like across like a desolate landscape? I feel like games can be very malleable in terms.
I don't know about that game. It sounds like The Giver was made into a video game.
Wow. What's next? Oh, hell yeah. This is Brian Usna, Faust.
Oh.
Society, one of the grossest movies I've seen. Yeah.
Based on the graphic novel and cult comic.
I always knew deep inside that evil existed.
It's a long way down. You won't even feel it.
Life, death, pleasure, pain, it's all the same.
I can offer you a new life everlasting. I can give you the power of vengeance. All I ask in return is your immortal soul. Just sign here. Now go forth and mutilate.
If you could avenge the ones you lost, protect the ones you love. What price would you pay?
Wow.
What bargain would you strike? How far would you go? From the director of Return of the Living Dead 3 and Beyond Reanimator. Faust, Love of the Damned.
I make such a mess when I play.
So that one actually looks kind of fun.
Yeah, easily the one I would watch out of the ones we've seen so far. Easily.
But I've seen it was like Trimark home video. I guess it was like a direct to video release, or I'm assuming it was something like that, right? Or maybe not.
Let me see.
Sorry, I don't mean to be slowing down the pace by asking these questions.
No,
I
you're
should
fine.
maybe. Yeah.
No, you're fine.
It says, I think it went international, maybe overseas, and then went direct to video here.
Okay, but it was probably like a different distributor that put it out overseas then, I guess.
Yeah, it was Filmax.
There you go.
Yeah, because there's no way that I would have looked at that and just been like, oh yeah, sorry, we're not gonna do that. Like, yeah, that looks fucking awesome. Yeah, it looks like it was only actually Trimark, but then why is Lionsgate listed then? I don't know. But either way, I will probably watch that tonight. It looks dope. We have a movie that I have seen, not since it came out, keeping with the hip hop movies, The Wash. I rewatched this trailer actually like a few months ago, and I was like, good Lord, this is terrible.
This right here is going out to all my homies over at The Wash, because I know they're getting their wash on, man.
From the co-creator of Friday comes a place that's beyond your wildest fantasy.
Stop daydreaming and help them wash the cars!
Hey, man, this black-on-black violence has got to stop.
D-Loke and Sean are living the high life.
3-day notice.
An upscale home.
We having a technical difficulties with our water system. It ain't working no more.
The finest in transportation. Surrounded by the classiest women.
Oh, you got the champagne cracking tonight. Stop with that.
And a great boss.
Sure would be time that you start upping our pay.
If y'all find upping in the dictionary, that's when I'm gonna up and do that.
What happened? Windows all busted?
Listen up. Mr. Washington has been kidnapped and held for ransom.
We may not get a next check if we don't do something.
We better do something fast.
Now, if they can get it together.
Yeah, it's the kidnappers.
How we know if he's still alive?
Listen to this.
Ow! Damn!
If they can keep it cool. If they can keep it real.
I don't want you players working hard. I want y'all to fake it until you make it.
It's all gonna come out in The Wash.
It's me, Face, Trady.
Man, who you talking to?
The Census Bureau.
What?
The people from the Census Bureau.
Man, hang up the damn phone.
We got a call about the music.
I don't hear any music, but we'll try to keep it down for you. Turn that back up.
Snoop Dogg, Dr. Dre, DJ Pooh, George Wallace, The Wash.
Yeah, it's the kidnappers again. Me and Face.
Man, you just said my name.
Who was you, Destiny Child? Nobody said your name.
Stupid.
Did I also see Regina Hall in there? I thought that was Regina Hall for like a joke.
I don't remember. Eminem has an uncredited role of like 5 to 6 minutes in it though. Yeah.
And
you saw this?
Good Oscar gold.
How old were you when you saw it? Oh shit.
Probably about 12. Speaking of classics.
Have you ever been to a psychiatrist before?
No, how does it work?
We have weekly conversations, and together we ask the questions that will lead you to your answers.
I was only 12 years old, and I wasn't gonna let Patrick Bateman ruin my life.
Why don't we stop there?
American Psycho continues.
This girl has no concept of reality.
Angrier. Deadlier. And sexier than ever before.
Ribbed for her pleasure.
She was more obsessed than Dahmer. She's more calculated than Bundy, and certainly more faceless than Bateman. All in all, she killed 8 people. 8 people, which we know of.
Now they basically just tacked on the American Psycho bullshit, right? That's what I've
Yeah.
been, yeah.
Yeah.
Have you seen this one? Has anyone seen this one?
Oh, I've seen it.
Oof. It
It's
looks
not
rough.
good. Yeah. I also saw it pretty much at the same time as The Wash. So what else? Oh man, Cube 2 Hypercube, sequel to like one of the worst movies I've ever seen.
Oh, I've never seen it. Again, bad Canadian. I've never seen
Cube either.
Was a formula for death. Unless you cracked the code.
If any of these numbers are prime, then the room is trapped. Oh my god.
But now,
Hello? Anyone here?
terror has a new dimension.
So does anyone remember how we got here?
Where's the damn numbers?
This isn't a game.
The first one has rules.
In this place, space defies reason.
All the realities are starting to collapse.
Time has no meaning.
You think that this is just an optical illusion or something?
And reality is out to get you.
The fun's just beginning.
It's only a matter of time.
We are definitely not alone.
We're coming. We're coming. I refuse to die here.
Cube 2, Hypercube. There are no rules.
Andre Secula. He was like a Tarantino DP. That's so weird.
Really?
Really?
Yeah, he shot like Pulp Fiction and Reservoir Dogs.
Oh, holy
Wow.
shit.
I'm looking at our live stream and the trailers are playing like 5 frames a second. So maybe we should just end our live stream. Like it's pretty unwatchable. So we can still continue to watch these, but it's just kind of pointless on the live stream.
Yeah.
Okay. Let's see. How do I end?
And thank you everyone for watching.